Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Cover One Draft Night. It is finally here, the moment we have all been waiting for. And I'll tell you what, it was at the point where I didn't think this day was ever going to come. So I am super pumped. My name is Steve Mathis. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Mathis, joined by Dave Tilton. You can find him on Twitter at Tilt Money. Anthony Prohaska, you can find him on Twitter at Pro_Ant. Anthony Romeo, you can find him on Twitter at Anthony Romeo NY, and Draft Nick Extraordinaire Kendall Mursky. You can find him on Twitter at Mursky Kendall. Gentlemen, we have finally made it here. The NFL draft. We all synced up our TVs just a moment ago. Before we get started tonight, as the picks start rolling in, I need to be the bad guy tonight. You guys all voted me to be the bad guy, apparently. So I have to be the bad guy. If you are in the comment section, please do not tip picks. Wait until we announce the pick here on the stream. No tipping picks, please. We will kick people out because I think at least we want to be a little bit semi-surprised by picks as they come in. And I know that other people in the comment section want to be surprised by picks as they come in as well. Some people aren't watching on ESPN. Some people are crazy enough just to watch us tonight, and we are very thankful for you. So please no tipping picks. We will knock you out of the stream if you are tipping picks. So thank you. That's my disclaimer. Hopefully I don't have to remind anyone. So now that we're here, gentlemen, I want you, as we start tonight's coverage, I want you to pick one word to describe how you're feeling right now. Just one word. And then since we are men of words and we like to talk, and that is why we are on the show, explain why you chose the word that you chose. So Dave, I'm going to start with you. What's one word to describe how you're feeling right now?
Relieved, I guess. And this is why, right? Because there's so many prognosticators out there, including ourselves, right? We can't absolve ourselves from guilt from that. But tonight, it's no more mock drafts. It's no more this guy visited. Did this guy visit? It's over, right? Like, we're going to get clear evidence. It's kind of like the difference between doing a pregame show and a postgame reaction show, right? Everything has basically been a 2 to 3 month pregame show up to this point. And now tonight we're basically getting to watch the game live and giving our reactions as the picks come in. So I'm relieved. The work leading up to it is always fun, obviously, but I am relieved that we're getting the draft here. It's one of my favorite days of the year.
All right. Before we get to you, Anthony, we got Chevy_YT coming to the super chat. Always appreciate you, Chevy. He says, hot take, Bills trade up for Malik Willis. LMAO, just kidding. Thanks for all the work leading up to the draft, boys. Can't wait for the film of our picks. And yeah, Anthony, I'm going to let you explain that too. It's not just a draft show, not just a live reaction show tonight. You and Kendall, you guys are going to be grinding the tape after the show tonight as well and dropping some stuff in the morning. Is that correct?
That is correct. We will be well, I guess it's not so bad for Kendall because he's over on the West Coast. But yeah, I'll probably be going to bed at like 3 a.m. Eastern time. So we're going to finish this. Kendall and I are going to then get into a room and create a graphic and then decide what we're going to do for this first round pick. Fingers crossed that there is one. Or I guess maybe not. So I can go to sleep earlier. Yeah, and then we're going to break down an episode, a recorded episode, non-live. That'll release tomorrow morning. And then we'll do the same thing tomorrow night after the day 2 stuff. And then the same thing after Saturday night. Kendall just turned 14 yesterday for his birthday. So congratulations to Kendall.
Someone already came in and asked if this draft will be going longer than my bedtime. So,
and Anthony Romeo, what's one word to describe how you're feeling right now?
Oh,
are you ready to rant?
Anticipation would be the word that I would use. Anticipation, because that's what it's all about. Like we've alluded to here, you put in all this work, you study all these guys, you make mock drafts, you play with draft machines, you make your predictions, but now let's see what's really going to happen. And one of the things I've been saying on the hoof over the past few weeks as we've gone through, our mock drafts is it's more exciting to watch at the beginning before the Bills pick this year because nobody really knows what's going to happen. Where the last few years, it's kind of been consensus who the top 5 picks were going to be. And then it was a mystery. So it'll be a lot of fun early this year. And I'm looking forward
I agree
to
with that. Yeah.
We got Ned Ryerson coming in. I think Anthony, you figured out the other night that he was hitting $17 for Josh Allen. Yeah. So we really appreciate that, Ned. And all super chats as always. He says, appreciate you guys, not just tonight, but all the work that you've done up to tonight. Smash that like. We appreciate it. And hey, if you are in the stream right now, not only should you smash that like, listen, I say it before on our show all the time. Text a friend, text a family member, anyone that you think would be interested in just what's what I'm looking for, just experiencing this draft with us tonight here on the Cover One Draft Spectacular. I just named it. Came off, just roll off the tongue.
Love it.
Then share it up. And that's just the best way. Word of mouth is the best way, in my opinion, to spread the news. So, Kendall, one word to describe how you're feeling right now.
Fruition. Everything is coming to fruition. All of the work we've all done, it's finally culminating to this point and just coming to fruition. We've all put in the work, the tape, the analysis, finding different things we like about players, archetype fits, whatever it is. Even if they're not on the Bills, we are gathering information and we're going to have great coverage on every player drafted and how they may fit whatever team they go to, because we put so much work in as a team to figure out what players we like, what players we don't like, what players we think fit the Bills, and maybe what players fit other teams. So it's all coming to fruition tonight.
And we got Roger Goodell up at the podium to, I believe, announce that Jacksonville is on the clock. He's got Derek Carr with him, and he's also got Darren Waller, which hopefully that doesn't get too awkward. Hopefully
Packers tight end Darren Waller.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
So hopefully that, I guess reports came out today that's a bunch of BS. So it looks like Darren Waller will be staying in Las Vegas. Yeah, smoke season is alive and well. As Roger Goodell is putting the Detroit Lions on the clock, I am just going to quickly read off an ad here. We are sponsored by Picasso's Pizza. They are the flagship sponsor of this program. Head on over to picassospizza.net. They got 4 great Western New York locations: Williamsville, West Seneca, Lancaster, Blaisdell. You can just go right online, picassospizza.net. You can order pickup local. You can order delivery, even if you're slightly out of range. And if you're out of town or out of state, they just sent us a whole bunch of frozen pizzas, Dave, Kendall, and myself. So we can't wait to snack on those over the course of draft weekend. I'll probably be busting those out for tomorrow's
Had mine
coverage.
tonight. Had mine
Was it
tonight.
any good?
Had to.
Was it any good?
It was really good. And I'm in North Carolina, so I mean that made the trip, right?
Yeah.
And it was good, man. It was really good.
It looked good. I wanted to pop it in the oven. I just didn't really have time before we got things kicked off this evening. picassospizza.net. They are the flagship sponsor of the Air Raid Hour. So thank you so much. We really appreciate that. All right. While I was talking, we had a super chat coming in. Corbett56 says, y'all ready for the work to go down the drain on a draft pick? You never saw it coming. Yes. And that's, I've said this before on our show too. I was like, Gabriel Davis, never again. When the Bills took Gabriel Davis a couple of years ago, I did not see that pick coming, and I was not prepared to like talk up Gabriel Davis. So it's going to be interesting this year to see how many picks in before someone is drafted that I've never heard of. And I think you guys can be having fun playing that game as well. All right. Before we get things kicked off tonight, I want to roll through a couple of things. One thing that we're going to be showing off this evening is we got a couple of special graphics for you. Obviously, as the picks come in, we'll have some graphics and we'll talk about the picks that are coming in. But we also have a nice little big board. Our very own Mel Kiper, a.k.a. Anthony Prohaska, provided us with this very nice 2020 NFL draft big board. So as the picks come in, we'll be sort of crossing them out. And then when we get to pick number 25, we will see who's left from Anthony's big board here to maybe make a guesstimation as to who the Buffalo Bills are going to select. And we've also got another graphic here, the Buffalo Bills pre-draft interest tracker. Anyone who really could go in the first 2 rounds, I threw up on this tracker here. So it's going to be really interesting to see as the picks roll along, which one of these guys come off the board. I think Jordan Davis will probably be off the board, maybe a couple of those corners, some of the wide receivers. So it'll be interesting to see if the Buffalo Bills at 25 decide to roll the way in terms of somebody that came in for a pre-draft visit. And there were still about 10 that we were not able to uncover before the draft started. Sneaky Brandon Bean. So it's one thing I don't appreciate about Brandon Bean is his ability to cover that kind of stuff up. Sophia Leonardra. That's what I get for having to read it on there. Comes with the super chat. We appreciate you, Sophia. She says, thanks for the full coverage, guys. Best analysis on the net. Aloha from lucky you. So it's even super early. Yeah. Like I'm out here in Phoenix. It's only like 5:10 my time. She's probably really enjoying herself. All right, gentlemen, I have been talking too long, so I want to, with 9 minutes left on the clock here, I want to get into it. I want to do a little bit of heat check.
Ooh.
And I want the gut feeling. What is your prediction for the Bills pick? Do they trade up? Do they trade down? Do they stay at 25? And if so, who are they going for? Anthony Romeo, I'm going to start with you. What do you think? Running back?
Oh, just trying to press the buttons
Early.
Yeah. Let's trade down 4 times and then you can pick a running back. How about that? Yeah, I am definitely thinking my gut right now is telling me that they will take the pick at 25. I think my ideal scenario is still to find a way to trade down and make 2-3 picks in that second round and use that ammunition to be able to move around in that round as well. But I have a feeling that with the talent that's been on the board in my most recent mock drafts, it's going to be hard for me to see the Buffalo Bills saying, we're going to pass on that and trade down to pick another guy we like later. So I think take the pick at 25 is going to be the result.
Mr. Prohaska, what do you think? Heat check here. Trade up, trade down, stay pat, and who do you think the player is going to be?
So I'm trying to learn my lesson from previous years. I'm mad superstitious. Office line, I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious, but just kidding. I am very superstitious. I'm not going to say who I think they're going to take out of superstition. I do think they do make the pick. Unless there would have to be, for them to really trade down, that makes me think Breece Hall has to be gone. Like 5 corners have to be gone. Like 5 receivers have to be gone.
Yeah.
Like 3 interior offensive linemen and like all the like I just think there's somebody of value at these positions that the Bills need, even if it's need number 1, need number 2, whatever have you. Someone good is going to be there. Like I just don't see that not happening. And based on that value, I think they stay there. The only way I see them not staying at 25 is if somebody gets really QB desperate and they want to get up to get, I don't know, if Willis and Pickett or Willis and Ritter go before the Bills, and then somebody wants that third quarterback off the board and they feel like, oh, I can't take the chance. We got to get back in. And the value is too good or too rich. Maybe, that tempts them. But I genuinely feel that the Bills make the pick at 25, and fingers crossed in my soul and in my heart for who I think it is and who I want it to be.
I think I know who it is, but I'm not going to say it out of respect to your superstition. Dave, what do you think? What's your betting favorite right now?
Look, my prediction, it hasn't changed since Monday, and I don't know if this. My prediction is what it was on Monday. So if it's the same as Anthony's, I'm sorry, but I think it's going to be Kaiir Elam at 25. I do believe that the Bills make the pick at 25. I believe that the only scenario where I see the Bills trade down is kind of similar to what Ant was saying, but I actually think it would have to be a situation where it's not necessarily that Willis and Ritter are both off the board. I think it's a situation where maybe only one of them is off the board, and someone really wants Ritter, right? Let's say Willis gets picked and someone really wants to come up and get Ritter because they feel like Willis and Ritter are like the top 2 in the draft, and there's a big drop off maybe to like Howell and Corral and others, right? So, but devil's advocate on that, if only one quarterback has been picked, it's actually a good situation probably for the Bills to trade down, because what that means is that that extra offensive lineman would have been picked, or that extra wide receiver would have been picked before the Bills picked. So I think if you're a Bills fan and you want to see someone like a premier corner or maybe a wide receiver or even an interior offensive lineman drop to you to 25, you're rooting for quarterbacks to get picked before pick 25. The more, the better. Yeah. And that becomes a numbers game for something to fall into the Bills' lap.
We want all of the quarterback graphics to be used up before,
please.
Before Matt Corral, you showed up. We need you to be a top 10 pick. If you're going to show up, you're not going to be a top 10 pick in the second round. You're going to be a top 10 pick in the first round, Matt Corral, if you have the audacity to show up there on stage. So, Kendall, how about you? What is your what's your odds here for pick number 25 or trade up, trade down?
Yeah, I wish I could differentiate and say that it's going to be something different, but I really think we're going to stand pat at 25. I think it is going to take a quarterback falling to 25, and not only that, but, the Seahawks, the Falcons, some of those teams at the top half, the Texans in the second round wanting to move up to 25 to go get that guy. I don't know if there's necessarily a guy at another position that merits a trade up. I think it's got to be one of those quarterbacks, given even in a year where, this is a lousy quarterback draft. teams value the quarterback. So
They're
if
desperate.
one falls
They're
to
still
25,
desperate.
those teams are still desperate. So yeah, John comes in, talks about the Seahawks have 40 and 41. They could use one of those to come up to 25, or maybe both of those, whatever the package may be. Either way, I think that's the only way that they trade down. But a lot of things have to fall into place. So I truly believe the Bills will make their pick at 25 tonight.
I have slowly turned over the course of like the last 3 weeks from devil's advocate to all in on a certain take. And that take is Breece Hall at pick number 25. What started as me just wanting to be the contrarian has turned into me actually falling.
You wanted to be the contrarian?
No way.
Me falling madly in love with Breece Hall. I've always been a big fan of his game, and then just going back over the last 3-4 weeks and just watching Eric break down the film and all of that stuff. So
yeah,
the Jaguars pick is in. So I will, my prediction at 25 is Breece Hall. And my hot take is that both Kyler Gordon and Kaiir Elam are off the board before pick 25.
That is a hot take. Yeah.
And that we have Booth and McDuffie and pass on both. So
that'd be
I would
wow.
throw myself through this stream.
I'm still on the board.
All right.
I'm still a Booth guy. I have been for a while, and I think he's going to be the guy. So that is my pick. And the other thing about trading down that I wanted to mention before this pick comes in here, I don't want to go over the pick, but the wild card for me is David Ojabo, who a team could want. Yeah, I think he will still be on the board at 25, and I think a team could want to trade up for him. One of these younger teams that doesn't need a guy to contribute right away, isn't competing now, but could stash a guy like that and get that 5th-year option on him. That could mean the Bills get good value at the position to trade out of that spot. But I also, again, the reason I said we stand pat at 25 is because there's only 24 picks ahead of us, and there is just going to be so much talent on the board at that point.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in, at least according to Ari Mirov. So it hasn't been announced on TV yet, but I'm going to pull the trigger here. And I mean, maybe Roger Goodell's announced it on real TV, but he hasn't announced it on my TV. But I'm going to pull the trigger here. The pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. First pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Travon Walker, defensive end, University of Georgia. This was trending in this direction. The betting odds and the betting favorites were moving in this direction over the course of the last couple of days. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts? Ken, I'm going to start with you here.
Bet on traits. That it seems like that's what's going on here. They're betting on this dude with the highest ceiling out of all of these edge rushers that they could have gotten with Aidan Hutchinson, Kayvon Thibodeaux. They could have gone in a more conservative direction, but they wanted to make the splash. They wanted to bet on those traits. That's really all I got to say on them going in on Travon Walker at number 1. There's obviously been a lot of traction with him, especially post combine. Like, he tested outstandingly, and then obviously he had a good season. Don't let me shortchange that, but it really propels you when you test like that. On top of having a good season, you really see what those traits are that you're betting on. And I think that's really where the root of this pick comes from. You see the high floor with Aidan Hutchinson, but you see the potential of what that ceiling could be with Travon Walker. And I think that's why they ultimately pulled the trigger.
This is a guy who was at one point a fringe first-round prospect until he absolutely blew up the combine, and then he put his name in the number 1 consideration. A bunch of wild stories have sort of been going through the news lately. One of them being that the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trent Baalke, and Michigan's head coach, Jim Harbaugh, do not quite get along from their days in San Francisco. So if Jacksonville passed on the sure thing, or the stand-up double in Aidan Hutchinson because of some drama between Trent Baalke and Jim Harbaugh, well, that would be a very Shad Khan type of thing there in Jacksonville. Anthony, you have Travon Walker 7th on your big board. Do you think Jacksonville made a mistake here?
I mean, it's so tough with projection of like traits over production. But I think that's exactly what it is, to Kendall's point. Like, you look at Travon Walker and you see the explosion, you see the quick first step, you see the versatility on the defensive line and the multiple techniques that he can line up, and you see the hustle and the motor that he operates with. He had a tackle in the national championship game towards the end of the first half. He rushes from Georgia's on the left side of the screen. And so he rushes from the bottom, and he crosses all the way over almost to like the left tackle, running back busts a run and gets upfield, and Travon Walker like motors and hustles and runs this thing down. And if he doesn't run the back down, Alabama like houses it on that one, or at worst gets down to the 20. Instead, he makes the tackle at the 50. Like exactly to Kendall's point, it's traits over production, which I'm a proponent of. I wish he had a bit more production. I wish his sacks weren't more. I wish his sacks were less cleanup-y and less like scheme result of everyone else around him causing havoc. But he's got a tremendous attitude. He's got really strong character. He gives it everything he has on the field, as corny as and as dumb as that sounds. And then you pair it together with all these advanced metrics and testing numbers, and it's easy to see a guy like that. And you're like, okay, especially if teams really believe in themselves, it's the Josh Allen or the Gregory Rousseau model of like, look at that dude. He's got things that people only have if it's God-given. We can add the rest of it. So it's the Jags betting on themselves a little bit as well, in addition to all the other potential drama. But I thought this was going to be the first pick for the last couple of weeks. I understand it. I get it. I think he's a really intriguing prospect. I wish he had more of a consistent pass rush plan as of now, but that can be learned. So all in all, I think it's an exciting pick for Jacksonville.
Easiest pick for the Lions. They just ran up to the podium.
Yes.
The pick is in. The second pick, the Detroit Lions select Michigan product, Aidan Hutchinson, edge rusher out of the University of Michigan. So the Detroit Lions go local here with Aidan Hutchinson, the edge rusher from the University of Michigan. Anthony, Romeo, what are your thoughts here? Was this the easiest number 2 pick of all time here?
Absolutely. I think so. Not only because of the hometown fit, but I had Aidan Hutchinson as the number 1 guy. I thought that it was just smoke going with Walker, but the Lions end up getting the best player in this draft, in my mind, the guy who should have went number 1 overall. And that's why they're excited to run to the podium. I actually had them taking Thibodeaux over Walker as well. So, I mean, this was an easy decision for them. Clearly, they didn't use half the time, I don't think. That was one of the fastest early picks. Yeah. So, I mean, we were still prepared to talk about the first pick, and now we're on to the next.
We have all these like these little games that we're going to play today. These Bills topics we're going to talk about. These picks are just rolling in here. We got your boy Lettuce coming with the super chat. I always appreciate you. Your boy, he says the Texans pull Ricky Williams, trade the 3rd overall pick to the Bills for the whole draft, and the Bills take punter Matt Ariza. And we all have a good night. We can just go home. Peace out. You don't have to talk about the rest of the
Your
draft.
boy Lettuce is consistent.
I will tell you what, your boy, if we take the punt god at some point in this draft, you are going to be a real happy man. And I don't want to be around you if we don't. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it's probably going to be a long weekend in your household. The Buffalo Bills don't come away with the punt god, who, according to some reports today, is not the top punter on every team's draft board. How dare they? How dare they?
Punter drama. Nothing. You know, it's a good draft when there's punter drama.
All right. So Houston is now on the clock. They still got about 5 minutes to go. So just some fun little games here before we get into it, because Matt Miller of ESPN sort of tweeted out, he said, listen, this is where the draft is going to get crazy. Houston is on the clock. This is where it's going to start to get nuts. This is where it's going to start to get wild. What are some predictions for maybe a player that goes way higher than people think? Dave, I'm going to start with you. What's a prediction for a guy you think goes way higher than people think?
Well, I mean, right here, could you see a guy like Derek Stingley get picked? I don't know if that's way higher than people think, but in a lot of mock drafts I've seen, it's been like one of the offensive linemen, or it's been one of the, maybe even, okay, I'll throw one out there. Kyle Hamilton. Could he go way higher than people think and get drafted right here by the Texans? Probably not, but like
pick is in already.
A lot of mocks have had the linemen here. But I think that a smart play for the Texans would be to get a defensive weapon, as they phrase it, either a Stingley, or if they really wanted to go ballsy, go for a Kyle Hamilton. But to me, the Texans really need help on the boundary on that defense, and offensive line, at least on the bookends, is fairly set for the Texans right now between Tunsil and Titus Howard. So I don't think an offensive tackle is the right move for them. So I would imagine this has got to be someone on the defensive side of the ball. Probably a Stingley, or a wild card pick would be a Kyle Hamilton for me.
Yeah, the Texans pick is in, but before, your boy Lettuce has got some words for you, Dave. He said the Hutch graphic said that Hutch was the safety from Notre Dame. So.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys.
sorry.
I was bound to make a mistake out of 50 something grand.
Sorry. Can't be perfect.
The Texans. I only read it because he super chatted it. I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, that's okay.
He wanted to make sure. Well, the Houston Texans pick is up, but nobody's coming up to the podium yet. So, Anthony Romeo, you got a prediction for a riser here?
Well, if you're talking overall in the first round, I think one of the guys I've been looking at as a riser, especially over the last week, is Christian Watson, the wide receiver, right? So
Fair.
a guy who could go above a lot of these other wide receivers that we've been talking about for months now, right? Olave and some of the other guys. He's now in the conversation with them. Do I think he's this early? Not quite. That would definitely be a shocker, but certainly a riser on my board for sure. He's the guy that comes to mind automatically.
The pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. The Houston Texans have not traded the pick. I believe Roger Goodell will be walking up to the podium any moment, but I do have the pick, courtesy of Ari Mirov of My Sports Update. So the pick is in. Long been rumored over the past couple of weeks with the third overall pick, the Houston Texans do in fact select Derek Stingley Jr.
There you go.
Cornerback out of LSU. This is a guy who hasn't had the greatest 2 years of tape with dealing with some injuries, but sort of the smoke machine. And it turns out it was actual fire coming out the last couple of weeks was, hey, this guy's healthy. This guy's ready to go. Teams are willing to overlook those past 2 seasons and go back and judge him by that freshman tape when it looked like he was going to be the first overall pick and maybe pull sort of a Charles Woodson type of deal and just be maybe one of the highest corners ever drafted. And sure enough, he goes top 3 in this draft, and the first corner is off the board. So in terms of what effect does this have on the Buffalo Bills?
For the Bills.
It's not good for the Bills.
First corner is off the board, and we might see the second corner off the board here if the smoke around the New York Jets was in fact true as well. Kendall, what are your thoughts here on Derek Stingley Jr.?
I mean, overall, I think this is a good pick for the Texans, though. I think you look at their team and they have plenty of holes to fill, but I think one of the most important things for them is shoring up that secondary. And Tilt talked about Kyle Hamilton. That was someone we talked about this week on the Air Raid Hour, fitting for their defense since they lost Justin Reed this offseason to the Chiefs. So I thought that made sense to replace him, but obviously cornerback is also a need. They have Steven Nelson and Desmond King as their top 2. Getting Derek Stingley is not going to hurt you. Obviously, that production as a freshman, the ball skills are legit. The way he moves is super fluid. He is a great athlete. The only concerns is the health factor. And I think there are some concerns when you're looking at a prospect when his trajectory isn't always upward. When you start so high as a freshman, you want to see them continue to grow. But when you start that high, it's hard to continue to clear that bar. So I think that's always been the challenge for him in college. But his tape that freshman year and even beyond that, it's not like, this guy dropped off from top 5 to second rounder. He just showed a little bit more of coming back to earth, coming back to, okay, he's still just a solid first rounder. So I think this is a great pick for them. Hopefully he gets the medical stuff figured out for him, but I think this is a really good pick for them and a good fit for Stingley to be the man.
All right. Gregory Tomset comes in live from Vegas, says, all right, just need the Jets to do something dumb. So some smoke today. If the San Francisco 49ers like was on the board at pick number 10, Debo could be a New York Jet by the end of the night. Let's focus on pick number 4 here. Gentlemen, what are our predictions for pick number 4? This is a team in the AFC East, so it's time to focus in because this is a team that we have to play twice a year. They got Zach Wilson at quarterback. They've added some ammunition in free agency this offseason. Got a solid head coach in Robert Saleh, but I think people would mostly still consider them the weakest team in the AFC East. Where do they go here to try to rise up that AFC East ranking? Anthony Romeo, what do you think? What's your prediction here?
Sauce Gardner is my prediction. I just think, you look at the Jets and their needs and the board and one of the best players. And it hurts me to say that because I know a lot of Bills fans were in love with Sauce Gardner when they evaluated him and were hoping he would fall and the Bills could trade up for him. Same with Stingley. So not only do we lose Stingley, but I think that the Jets go the direction of Sauce Gardner here, eliminating any chance. And like we alluded to earlier, taking back-to-back cornerbacks telling you premium positions. That's always what I preach during draft time. Edge, cornerback. So, I mean, I think that's what's going to end up happening here. And the one thing, Greg mentioned, we hope that the Jets do something crazy and stupid here. But under this new regime with their new GM, they have been building in a better direction and seem to know what their vision is for this team. So as much as I want them to screw up, I think they're going to make the right pick. But we knew that the Jets with pick 4 and 10 in this draft were going to get a hell of a lot better by the end of the night, no matter what they did, just by virtue of having 2 top 10 picks. They would have to try really, really hard to screw that up completely. But I think the Jets are going to get better with this one for sure. And it's going to hurt Bills Mafia.
Betting favorite in the comment section is Kayvon Thibodeaux or Sauce Gardner, Robert Saleh being a defensive guy. But Bob Hans and a couple other people come in saying, hey, the Mekhi Becton news, you got to protect your asset, your quarterback in Zach Wilson. Maybe they go offensive line here. I think someone mentioned Jermaine Johnson. I think that would be the upset pick here at 4. And there has been some smoke that people are higher on Jermaine Johnson than maybe the draft. So the draft community wasn't very high on Jermaine Johnson. He had a great Senior Bowl. He moved up into the top 10-ish when people thought he was a top 25-ish pick, but now he's right back in his place where maybe the NFL community thinks he belongs into the top 5 to 10 picks here. So that would be an interesting one. Dave, what do you think here for the Jets? You getting saucy here in pick number 4? Is that saucy in the mug there?
I'm kind of with Anthony here. I think it's either going to be Sauce or Thibodeaux. I feel like just connecting the dots on Robert Saleh, knowing that he comes from that defensive background, that's like the easy connection to make. I do think Ickey would be a wild card pick here from NC State. A guy who's also, kind of a freak athlete, can come in, play tackle, can come in, play guard. He's a freaking monster. I saw him up close and personal, being here in Raleigh and being an NC State guy myself. That's a safe pick, I feel like, for the Jets if they want to kind of go in the route of protecting Wilson and they want to go for a guy that could potentially slide in anywhere they really need to on the offensive line. Not the center, obviously, but could play guard, could play tackle. He would be a wild card for me, but I would have to think here it's either Sauce Gardner or Kayvon Thibodeaux. I actually had Thibodeaux as my number 1 edge rusher in this draft, so I feel like that would be a good pick for the Jets, unfortunately. Either pick would be good for them.
The pick is in for the New York Giants as Roger Goodell walks to the podium on my television. I will announce the pick here, but it should be super interesting to see where they go. The Buffalo Bills, you saw what they did against the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Allen went off. They got Stephon Diggs. They got Gabriel Davis. So a guy like Sauce Gardner would be an interesting pick here for the New York Jets. Obviously, for the longest time, Robert Saleh had a guy in Richard Sherman. I still think back to that Jets game last year where the Bills threw a fade to Stephon Diggs, and Stephon Diggs didn't come down with it. So what they do? They were like they were playing freaking Madden. They just ran the same play again. They just ran the same play again, and Stephon Diggs jumped over the defender to make the touchdown grab finally. So the Jets pick is in. We are just waiting for Roger Goodell to walk on up to the podium so we can announce it. And
there's a Fred Jackson jersey in the crowd there.
Oh, I see that too.
Look at that. Yeah. Got a Jordan Poyer as well. So that should be interesting. So the pick is in for the New York Jets. Just killing a little bit of time here till Roger Goodell walks up on that stage. Come on, Roger. Come on. You know what you're doing.
Come on, Raj.
Raj.
All right. So Roger Goodell is walking to the stage. So I feel free to announce, ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in. With the 5th pick in the 2022, fourth pick in the 2022 NFL draft, the New York Jets select Ahmad Sauce Gardner, cornerback, University of Cincinnati. So the Jets do, in fact, get saucy here with pick number 4. Mr. Prohaska, what kind of fit is he in Robert Saleh's defense here? Ahmad Gardner, the guy who ran the most press man out of any corner in that draft eligible corner in college football this year.
He just gives the size, the length, the athleticism, the potential man capabilities, the versatility to sit back or go up and press. It allows Robert Saleh to be aggressive like he was in San Francisco and attack. It allows him to not have to rely on the blitz as much. It gives him more alleviation on the back end. It's a really good move for them with what Sauce can do. And you add it with his he just plays so confidently and so fearlessly, regardless of who he comes up against. And in a division with Stephon Diggs and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, and in a conference with Jamar Chase and everybody else on the Bengals, and even who the Chiefs still have with their speed, which can be intimidating, and then what the Chargers present and what the Raiders present, like all these squads in the AFC have just loaded up for bear on offense. And you need somebody who has physical attributes, but who also has the intelligence and then the mental fortitude to be able to go up against these guys time and time again. And it's crazy because Sauce Gardner's tape, like, to me, was super boring, but in like a good way for him, because he's just like all over everyone, like all the time. It's just like, okay, like no one got open. Okay, they didn't throw it to him. Okay, here we go. It's like the same thing over and over, regardless of opponent. Granted, maybe the competition isn't the best, but you combine his match ability and ball skills as well, and that length, again, like you said, coming from that system where he likes longer corners and bigger guys, it's a really valuable weapon for that defense, especially with the arms race going on in the AFC.
I think you made a great point there too, especially for when the Buffalo Bills get up on the clock at pick number 25. Like you need some corners, to cover these guys as the AFC loads up. Your boy let us come in with a super chat. I always appreciate it. He says Diggs is a good daddy. I'm sure he'll treat Sauce like he treats his other son, JC Jackson, who is moving over to LA to play for the Chargers. So, Anthony Romeo, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, if you are a team in the AFC East, does this move the needle at all for you, for the New York Jets, for your fear of the New York Jets?
Oh, definitely not. No. I mean, the Jets still have a long way to go. Maybe if you're the New England Patriots, you're the team that's kind of on the fringe. The Dolphins, I would say, are the number 2 team. The Patriots are number 3. The Jets are probably 4 at this point. The Jets could leap them with these 2 top 10 picks today, and that's certainly a step in the right direction for them, I think. But scare the Bills or scare the Miami Dolphins contending for the division? Certainly not quite yet. But does it help them take another step? Absolutely. With the head coach they have there and that defense that they're building, and a young quarterback and offense who's still finding their way, they're not expecting to compete this year, but meaning compete for the playoffs. But you better believe that they're going to try and do everything they can to get a big victory against the Bills or against one of these competitive teams that they face this year. Because we know that the division is still coming through Buffalo, and the Jets, at least at this point, can't quite stay at that level and compete for the division. However, I do think they have potential to leapfrog the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I'm looking at the board right now. You still have 3 premier tackles on the board, haven't been taken yet, which is crazy to me. 2 edge rushers and Kayvon Thibodeaux, Jermaine Johnson still on the board, plus Kyle Hamilton and Jordan Davis still sitting there. So right now, like, as much as we might be upset because of corner, it looks like there might be some guys who could fall down the board and make things interesting for the Buffalo Bills if they're looking to make like a minor leap up. Maybe not try to trade up into the top 10 with the New York Giants here, but if they're trying to move up to like 18 or something of that nature, maybe there might be a guy who drops, maybe a Kyle Hamilton who drops to the Buffalo Bills. So the first 4 picks are in. They have been just blazing through. The New York Giants are on the clock now. So I'll tell you what, guys, things have not gotten interesting yet. Are we a little surprised at the lack of sort of madness that has taken hold yet? Dave, what do you think?
I'm not with the first 4. I was texting a couple of friends of mine in the group chat that are Giants and Jets fans earlier, and they were like, "Okay, what?" They were razzing me a little bit, saying like, "Okay, what are the New York teams going to do?" And I was like, "Don't start that with me." And I've predicted the first 4 picks so far, and this is the 5th pick is where I got interesting with the Giants, and I went a little bit of a curveball, and I said they take Kayvon Thibodeaux. Now it's the obvious pick here is to take a guy like Evan Neal or Charles Cross, because we know the Giants need someone opposite Andrew Thomas on that line to protect whoever the quarterback's going to be for them, now and in the future. But a guy like Kayvon Thibodeaux it could be a difference maker for them on the defensive side of the ball. Leonard Williams is older. I know he's got a huge cap hit this year, so he's going to be with them. But outside of Leonard Williams, they drafted Azeez Ojulari. I can't remember how to say his name last year. And it's TBD whether he's going to pan out, right? And so edge, like Anthony said earlier, you keep attacking it, right? The Bills weren't afraid to keep attacking edge after drafting Epinesa. They went back to the well with Rousseau and Basham's. Like, it's not a bad approach if you can get a premier edge player here. So that would be my curveball pick here for the Giants, would be Thibodeaux.
The pick is in, and Roger Goodell's at the podium. There was a really cool story on Make-A-Wish pick here at pick number 5 for the New York Giants. There's a really nice heartfelt video with Brian Dable and Joe Shane letting this kid know that he was going to get to announce the pick. So I'm going to steal his thunder. I'm going to announce the pick right now. The pick is in, ladies and gentlemen.
That kid's energy is off.
All right. With the 5th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeaux out of the University of Oregon. Kendall, what are your thoughts on Kayvon Thibodeaux? I've heard various reports from, this guy's not worth the hype, to that's just people trying to drop this guy in the draft, to, he's a really good player, but he's not a top 5 player. But here he goes in the top 5. What are your thoughts on Thibodeaux's game here, Kendall?
I can't speak on the technical side of things, so I'll pass that to Ant when I'm done because I know he's done more work on Thibodeaux. But generally speaking, this aligns with Joe Shane and everything he's learned from Brandon Beane. Someone coming into this draft season as a blue chipper, a top 5 guy, and for whatever reason, everything surrounding him drops him lower than he should have gone. This is a guy that was thought of as the number 1 pick going into this season. And yes, there were some things during the combine that he did that, you could red flag a little bit, but the tape, there are times when he pops. Granted, I only have 1 game under my belt, but there are times when he pops and that athleticism is real. So I think this is very similar to the situation where Brandon Beane stood pat at 9 a few years back and watched Ed Oliver fall down to them. And now Joe Shane is taking a page out of that book. You get the blue chipper when he falls to you. Yes, positional need is a thing. I think they should have gone offensive tackle here, but it makes a lot of sense. You are trying to get cap compliant moving forward for the Giants. You draft premium positions, expensive positions. Tackle and edge are both in that bucket. They go ahead, they get their blue chipper. So, Ant, the technical side of thing, I'm going to leave to you.
Any dude who can pull off the Von Miller ghost rush in college and do it a whole bunch, that's just impressive as hell. And I know there's the concerns about character stuff, or he's up and down, and the consistency and the effort and all those things, or whatever, drama that came with it. But yeah, from the technical side, his speed to power, his ability to create soft edges and attack, his agility, his explosion, his hand technique, he's violent with his moves. Even when you see him execute something as basic as a swim move, his ability to engage and then rip and pull and die and swim right over, with the arm over. It's violent. It's explosive. He was the dude coming into this year. Obviously he fell, but he was the dude coming into this year that before the season started, everyone's hands down number 1 pick and mocks, number 1 guy on the board. Everybody and their mother was oh, Kayvon Thibodeaux. It was easy for everyone. It was in the same vein of Chase Young, same vein of Jadeveon Clowney when he came in. The Bosa's, everybody knew, okay, the best player in this draft is going to be Thibodeaux. Then he gets hurt a little bit. Then there's motivation concerns, and he likes to invest and do crypto. And so then it's well, does he really love football? What are we going on? And everybody's still
Matt Barkley is his agent.
It's just, it's so weird. And then you have the same thing with people harken that back to, Josh Rosen had questions about if he loved football. Look what happened to him. So what? And everybody just connects those dots. But he's a tremendous player. If you can tap into it and you get his buy-in, if that's even a worry, he's arguably the most talented player in this draft. My opinion on, I thought if the players hit their potential in this draft fully, Derek Stingley is the best defensive player in this entire draft and arguably the best player in this entire draft if he hits his ceiling. If Thibodeaux hits his ceiling, he's right there with him. Just with his natural God-given ability, and it's really impressive to see what he can do physically and technically.
Pops Mafia comes in with who I think is a great comment. Former Bills assistant GM picks a pass rusher. Imagine that. And what does Brandon Bean say? It's about, having a quarterback and getting to the quarterback. And sure enough, Joe Shane follows that blueprint here. The Carolina Panthers are on the clock. They have the dumbest looking war room I've ever seen in my entire life. They look like they're inside of an AMC movie theater. It's ridiculous. I don't understand why the lights are off. Why do you need the lights off? I don't get it. But they're on the clock here. To me, the fact that they're winding it down all the way to zeros, because it's at about 252 on mine, they're trying to trade this pick. Whether they are going to have success or not, I don't know. Looking at some context clues, Kenny Pickett did not look very happy. Malik Willis was like playing with look like maybe his daughter or a niece or somebody. So he clearly wasn't getting a phone call. Anthony, we need to go. We need a quarterback to go here, right? Are the Carolina Panthers going to oblige us?
Which
Romeo,
From
here on out, I'm going to call you Mr. Romeo and you Mr. Prohaska. How about that? So, Mr. Romeo, how does
pet peeve though? Dr. Romeo, if it's going to go
Dr. Romeo. All right,
Mr.
so
Romeo is like my.
I apologize, Dr. Romeo.
Wow.
If you're gonna do it, I just hate Mister. I prefer Anthony.
If I went to school for that long too, I would also want to be called Doctor.
I mean, I make my family do that sometimes. So, but that's when they're, they piss me off. It's like, oh, that's Dr. You.
So Dr. Romeo with a PhD in love, says Gerald J. here. We need a quarterback to come off the board here. Are the Panthers going to oblige us?
Sadly, no, I don't think so. Not this high. I think there's a lot on the board that the Panthers could do. They're clearly trying to trade the pick. I wasn't surprised that the Giants did not go offensive line because having a former Bills GM in the office now, there are 3 great offensive linemen on the board that could go still, and they have a pick coming up right after this. So I think they hedged their bets and said our number 1 offensive lineman might still be on the board in the next pick. Here, however, I do think that's also the direction the Carolina Panthers default to. When they make this pick, it seems like they're not going to trade it away at this point. Pick is in now, right? So yeah, I definitely think that they're going offensive line here. The question is, which one do they have on the top of their board? I know that in my recent mock draft, I do have them taking Evan Neal. But could they say Charles Cross is the guy they want? I don't know. I have those as my next 2 picks, actually, Neal and then Cross, to the Panthers and the Giants respectively. But it could very well be flipped, and it wouldn't surprise me.
So Dr. Romeo's got Neal and he's got Cross going ahead of Ickey Ekwonu. So Mr. Prohaska, you got Ickey Ekwonu number 1 on your board. Talk a little bit about Ekwonu.
His ceiling is to be like a top 10, top 7-ish tackle in the NFL, and his floor is to be like a top 10, top 5 guard. And that's fantastic. His movement skills, his athleticism, his burst is unreal. Whoever he goes into, he's already one of the best run blockers in the NFL, just going in like right now. He has to work on his footwork and pass protection. He oversets too much. He gets a little bit too excited in his angles and his 45-degree sets and vertical sets as well. But that can be cleaned up. Like, you can teach him more technique and hand placement and usage and more discipline along that spot. He just has so many workable tools. And again, for me, with my big board, it's evaluating from the perspective of, okay, what does this player look like if they hit their floor? What does this player look like if they hit their ceiling? And his floor is really high and his ceiling is really high. Like, again, if your ceiling is like an all-pro premium position and your floor is all-pro at another position, like, okay, like, that makes complete sense. But it is an interesting class. Like, Evan Neal is tremendous, probably the best combination of like overall things. And then Charles Cross is, I would say, probably the best pass blocking tackle. So there's like a little bit of mix and match depending on what you're looking for and pick your poison. But yeah, Ekwonu's athleticism is rare and his movement ability is rare. His run blocking is already elite. If you can clean up the pass protection, you have an absolute stud and consistent piece on your hands for a very long time.
All right, the pick is in, so the Carolina Panthers will be selecting in a moment. Yeah, Ickey Ekwonu would not.
Malik and Pickett.
They do not look happy.
Silence.
But I'll tell you what, Ekwonu, a couple of things make sense to me here for him too. Comp I've seen from a couple of people is Deion Dawkins. NC State guy, not that that should matter too much. with Carolina. So it'll be interesting to see which tackle the Carolina Panthers go with here at pick number 6. Their pick is in, and as soon as Roger Goodell starts walking up to the podium, I will announce the pick as well. I've actually known for the last 2 minutes, but it's all right. It is what it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in. With the 6th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Ickey Ekwonu, offensive lineman, NC
Another
State.
NC State player going in the top 10 of an NFL draft. What do you know?
Get on your soapbox.
Take it away, Dave.
It's
Take it away.
science, guys. I mean, Pro An already said everything there is to say about Ickey, but I mean, I think what the point is here is the same point I was trying to make for the Giants at 5 is like, you have options, right? And you are getting yourself that rare combination of high floor, high ceiling, which is not always, that's sometimes hard to kind of see in an offensive lineman. So I feel like this is a smart move for the Panthers. They've got Moten there at the right tackle, left tackle, still a little bit, unsettled, I guess you could say right now. They've got Cameron.
They need help in the interior too.
They want Brady Christensen to play guard because of his short arms, even though Brady Christensen's a left tackle.
Yeah.
So it's super interesting what they got going on there.
They got Pat Elflein, who they signed in free agency, and Austin Corbett, who they've signed in free agency as their guards. Obviously, Ickey's going to come in and supplant one of them likely as the starting guard right away, but he could also come in and challenge a guy like Cam Ervin or Brady Christensen at left tackle.
Right.
So the Panthers did the smart move here. They have options. It gives them a chance to see where he fits best in their rotation in camp. And to me, this is a really solid pick by the Panthers.
All right, we got the New York Giants with 4 minutes left on the clock. I want to put up my first trade scenario here. Obviously, Joe Schoen and the Buffalo Bills have a connection. The Buffalo Bills, I don't know who would be on the board that the Buffalo Bills would really want to come up for. Maybe Jameson Williams. Maybe, I mean, I'm looking at who's still available that the Buffalo Bills would really
trade
Kyle.
for
Kyle. So the only names I can really think of is one of the premier receivers, Jermaine Johnson, or Kyle Hamilton. So the need for the Buffalo Bills to move high up in the draft is probably unlikely. And with Evan Neal and Charles Cross here, the need for the Giants to move down is unlikely. But the reason why I created traffic here, this is probably at minimum what it would take the Buffalo Bills to get this pick here, pick number 7. It would take our first round pick, it would take our second round pick, and it would take our 2023 pick next year for this 7th overall pick. And this is using the draft pick value chart via Rich Hill, which he just updated. This is using his most updated model. And that's still a plus 11 point differential, which is around a 4th round pick. So the Bills would be technically ripping the New York Giants off out of a 4th round pick if they were to agree to a trade like this. The pick is now in, so all of this is moot. I was hoping that maybe the Giants would want a 1 next year. I was hoping maybe the Giants would want a 1 next year in case they had to try to move up for a quarterback, but that doesn't look like the case. Joe Schoen is going to plant his flag, at least for now, in Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor, and maybe he's going to get him some protection here. I don't know. Evan Neal versus Charlie Cross. How about we just go around the table? Evan Neal versus Charlie Cross. What's our prediction here? I'm going to go around the horn. Dave, start with you.
Giants media loves Cross, so it won't be Cross. It'll be Neal.
Neal.
Cross.
I'm going Neal.
I'm going Cross. I'm going to go.
I think
get on yet.
I think it should be Cross. Like, I would prefer Cross for the Giants, but just because they've been linked so heavily to them, it just feels like it won't be him. But it's going to be one of those two. It has to be, right? They made the smart move by taking the premier edge at 5, knowing that one of these 3 linemen were guaranteed to be there at 7.
Yeah, it was a good move.
So it was smart drafting there by Joe Schoen.
You got to play the board.
Yep, made total sense.
And they are going to get another blue chipper here. The pick is in. I spent 20 minutes figuring out that trade compensation for nothing.
Draft season.
You
had to know that.
Picks are coming in quickly, though, quicker than usual. I feel.
Now we're going to 2 a.m. till son of a.
You already said you were going to be up till 3 anyway. So
fair, but if this goes longer, then I'm going to be up till 5.
The pick is in. Like I said, when Roger Goodell comes up to the podium, which it appears he's about to do right now, we will announce the pick. It seems like it's going to be down between Evan Neal and Charles Cross here. So this should get super interesting. Wonder how these Giant fans are going to react. I don't know. I kind of missed the day when the draft was just in New York City. I know the traveling show is kind of cool, but there was always something about Radio City Music Hall that sort of.
I liked it too.
All right, come on, Roger. I know
you know what I really liked. Like I liked when you had the first 3 rounds all on one day on a Saturday, and it was like a marathon the whole thing was
on Saturday. Yeah, give it to me.
All right, the pick is in, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
With the 7th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Evan Neal, offensive tackle, University of Alabama. So, Dave, you were right. The buzz was around. Charles Cross. So the Giants do, in fact, zag and go Evan Neal. The smoke screen was correct. Kendall, talk a little bit about Evan Neal's game.
I think Ant did a good job talking about how when you juxtapose these 3 offensive tackles, Neal is the one who's the most well-rounded of the bunch. He gives you a little bit of everything. And the fact that he's competing in the SEC and he was as consistent as he was bodes very, very well for the pick. And obviously we already talked about why this pick was so smart. Playing the board, waiting to see, knowing that all 3 tackles were on the board at 5, knowing that one of the top 3 is going to fall to you at 7. I think it's a really, really smart pick for the Giants, getting a guy with a high floor, good ceiling, but high floor, which is really, really what you want to find when you're drafting to protect Daniel Jones, who you're trying to isolate all these variables and find out who is he. You know, this morning they didn't even pick up the 5th-year option on him. They're trying to figure out if he's even the guy. Best way to do that, find someone reliable, someone dependable to protect him. I think they did a great job.
Yeah, for sure. So now the Atlanta Falcons are up. And again, Kyle Hamilton, Jermaine Johnson, looking for that speed over the top, and Jameson Williams at the Buffalo Bills are looking to trade up. It's going to cost something similar here. The 25th overall pick, the 89th overall pick, so our 3rd round pick, and a 1st round pick next year will get us a 12-point differential, which is about a 4th round pick. So if the Buffalo Bills are looking, the Atlanta Falcons, maybe they're just sitting there thinking, hey, we want to collect a ton of picks because we're not good. Maybe they consider a trade offer with the Buffalo Bills here, but that's pretty pricey, even for a guy like Kyle Hamilton, especially when we still have a guy like Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde in tow and under contract for now. So quarterback, wide receiver, Jermaine Johnson, where are the Atlanta Falcons going here? Let's go around the horn and get a prediction. We'll go backwards this time. So Kendall, we'll start with you, then Dr. Romeo, then Mr. Prohaska, and then Dave.
I think we're seeing the first wide receiver come off the board here. I feel like obviously the Calvin Ridley drama that happened over this past year, and then really just the offense flowing through Kyle Pitts. They got to find someone to get coverages off of Kyle Pitts. And I understand that they need a quarterback. They have the bridge in Marcus Mariota, but I feel like this is where we see that first wide receiver to take some pressure off of Kyle Pitts and open up that offense, or at least the passing attack.
Got a super chat from Lance. Thank you, Lance. We appreciate it. Anthony, how about you? Dr. Romeo.
Yeah, maybe we could just go by Anthony and Ant or something. I don't know.
There we go. There we go.
So I have them picking wide receiver here. I have them going with Garrett Wilson. But I think they need a player who can contribute now, right, on this team, even though they're not necessarily contending for a division right now, and they're in rebuild mode. I think the wide receiver is the position that they need to address. My pick is Garrett Wilson. Of course, so far I haven't nailed a single pick, but I have 6 out of 6 so far. All the players that I've chosen just in a different order. So interesting there. But we'll see. I think here is the first wide receiver taken off the board. I'd be surprised if they're able to trade it at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah, and the pick is in. No trades yet. I guess all the trades happened in the months approaching the draft. We didn't need any trades on draft night. We got your boy Lettuce coming in saying he doesn't think the Buffalo Bills is going to consider giving away future picks, which I agree. Brandon Beane likes his picks. I think if he was going to give one up, it would have to be for a guy who's going to surefire play right away, right? Like, so you got Jameson Williams, who's got the knee thing. Jermaine Johnson, who'll be stuck in the rotation. Kyle Hamilton still got Jordan Poyer in front of him, so that's interesting as well. And Jax 22 comes in and says, "Here's I'm still sober-ish. Thank you, we appreciate it. Come back and maybe super after a couple. I think that might be a wise decision on your part. Ant, who are you going with here for the Atlanta Falcons?
Oh, they're so bad in a lot of areas. I think to Kendall's point, it comes down to edge and wide receiver. Garrett Wilson's my number one, and my gut is telling me that. But then with what Drake London can do and his power slot ability and the ability to also be like a traditional X, that fits really well with what Atlanta needs. But then given the role that Pitts plays, I feel like maybe there's redundancy there. So I'm going to go either Garrett Wilson or
positionlessness. That's true positionlessness if you get Pitts and London.
All right, pick is
I'll
in,
take
gentlemen.
wide receiver as my guess before the pick is now.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
The first wide receiver is off the board, and it is Drake London, wide receiver out of Southern California. Calling it Southern California for our guy, Randy Hardman, because he believes that the true USC is the Gamecocks. Kendall, Drake London's your guy. Drake London's your guy. So talk about Drake London, but first we do have a super chat here from Corbett 656 who says Bill's going to trade up, play a montage with Josh Allen, then trade back down. So appreciate that. Kendall, your boy Drake London, talk about why he is your wide receiver one.
He's my wide receiver too. Garrett Wilson is my wide
receiver
receiver one. I just really like Drake London. I just really like Drake London.
Oh, so your 1 and 2 matches my 1 and 2. Fun.
Yeah.
Shocker. No, I thought you were a London number one all the way, man. I'm shocked right now.
No. I've always had Wilson number one. The thing with Drake London is I think a lot of it stems from me kind of like silencing the narrative of he can't separate. And I kind of leaned into that pretty hard. He can separate. It's in a different way from a Garrett Wilson who does it with just sharp route running. And while Drake London has good route running at times, and he has really good understanding of how to manipulate cornerbacks and not necessarily stack them deep, but kind of box them out sometimes because of his frame, or give them that slight like pass by or push off on vertical routes, whatever it is. He's very, very subtle and nuanced with the way he separates. And then on top of that, he's got that contested catch ability that is proven. And I think that strikes fear in a lot of people. I think a lot of people see, oh, he's just a contested catch guy, he can't separate. There's more to it. There's more context to it. If you make contested catches, that's a feather in your cap. It doesn't mean that you can't separate. It's a byproduct of the entire offense. Another thing, I don't think Slovis did him any favors at USC.
How dare you?
I don't.
Stain upon my boy Keon Slovis. Next year's number one overall, baby.
Maybe. We'll see.
Lance Nelson said he screwed up that last super chat, so he's redeeming himself with another. Thank you, Lance. We appreciate it. You can screw up as many super chats as you need to tonight.
This is
in order
good
to get
over-under.
But he says messed up the last one. Over under 3.5 uses of juxtaposed by Kendall tonight. He loves that word. Bills will be back.
Good number
if any trade is made. I'm smashing the over on that one, Lance. How about anyone who's considering super chatting tonight take a shot every time Kendall drops a juxtaposed? I think that would be the wise decision. Seattle's on the clock here. It's starting to get super interesting. Looking at Anthony Prohaska's big board here, his top prospects left: Kyle Hamilton. They got Jamal Adams. They're set at safety, right? Oh, wait, he's a linebacker. I apologize. Charles Cross still on the board. Jermaine Johnson still on the board. Garrett Wilson, Trent McDuffie, Chris Olave, Jordan Davis, Jameson Williams. Those are the big ones. And I think the other one is the quarterback question in the room here. So let's go around the horn and get some predictions for Seattle here. This is a roster that is heading into the season with Drew Lock and Geno Smith battling for QB1. I don't even know the name of their left tackle. Even if I looked it up, I probably still couldn't pronounce it. And then, this is a team that's, I don't think they think they're in rebuilding mode, but I think everyone else thinks they're in rebuilding mode. So I'll go back around the other way and start with you, Dave. What's your prediction here for Seattle's pick here at number 9?
If Seattle loves a quarterback and they love Malik Willis, this is where you would take him. You traded Russell Wilson away to get this pick, to get a premium top 10 pick. So did you trade away Russell Wilson with the intent of replacing him right now with the number 9 overall pick and taking a Malik Willis or a quarterback? Their offensive line is atrocious at the bookends. So I could see Charles Cross being a safe pick here and a very solid pick. But what are you doing here if you're Seattle after you just traded your franchise away to get this pick? Like, if you come out of this without taking a quarterback, like, are you really trusting Drew Lock with that offensive line in front of him? I wouldn't. So to me, you either got to make the move for the quarterback here, or you got to shore up that one of those bookends on the offensive line and take a guy like Cross. That'd be my prediction.
It's gonna be really interesting. Yeah. Ant, what do you think here?
Oh, I'm in a similar boat with Tilt. I think it's Willis or Cross for the reasons that he mentioned. I don't think I need to elaborate too much. I'm gonna say Willis.
All right.
We want Willis.
Yeah, I think it's right church, wrong pew for me every single time so far, pretty much. Again, I'm nailing the position sometimes, but I have the guys in different order. I had the Seattle taking Ickey, who obviously is already off the board, but I had Cross going to the Giants, so I think he could be the pick here. But when we did our last mock last night on the hoof, I said that Seattle's one of those teams that when they're on the board, you just laugh because you have no idea what they're going to do. But what I think is happening now is I see the clock continuing to tick down. They want to pick a quarterback. They just don't want to pick a quarterback right here. They're trying to trade down.
That's true.
No team wants to be the first team to pick a quarterback in this draft because there is no home run hit, right? There is no, okay, hey, maybe I can wait till pick 20 to get the quarterback or, trade down and see what I can get. So I think they're trying desperately to trade down.
I will say this, though, to your point, Anthony. It could be a good or a bad thing for the Bills, right? The longer a quarterback doesn't get picked, the more likely it is maybe that they can trade out of 25. But by the same token, we also kind of want more It's like if you stay at 25, you want more quarterbacks picked. If you want to trade down, you want less quarterbacks picked. So it's like, what do you want right here? Seattle's kind of in a tough spot here. I feel like you traded Russell Wilson, you traded your franchise. You kind of have to take a quarterback here if you're Seattle. But
he needs to sit for a year anyway. Malik Willis does. So you take him, you let Drew Lock run its course, do whatever, feed him to the wolves. No disrespect to Drew Lock, and you let Willis sit and learn. He's got a cannon. He can move. Like he's very much ironically, like in kind of a Russell Wilson mold. He doesn't have the accuracy or the anticipation that Russell Wilson does, but he can motor. He's athletic. He's got a strong arm. You let him sit for a year, learn the game. He's got the type of cannon that can function. No, sorry.
Pick is in.
Pick is in. So
the pick is in. All right. So
yeah, I saw that graphic too. That trade graphic.
What?
It already happened.
For those of you who are tuned in strictly to the Cover One broadcast, ESPN put up a trade graphic, but it was just a review of the Seahawks Broncos trade. So it'll be interesting here. I'll tell you.
I didn't look at anything else other than the big words that said trade. I just was
literally got every single one of us.
Got us all.
But it said the pick was in, and that's what got me.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what?
I was waiting for the announcement here. But...
Why is Kyle Hamilton dropping? Is it position? Is it strictly just his position, the positional value of a safety?
Where's Marv Levy when you need someone to take?
I think it is the positional value. Look at I put a tweet out a while ago. Look at who your all-pro safeties are, right? Look where Micah Hyde was drafted. Look where Jordan Poyer was drafted. Look where Justin Simmons was drafted. Look where Budda Baker was drafted. And then look at the monetary value you have to pay for top
the running back of the defense
open market. It's fair. Like you can find value in other spots. And I think people are also okay going to the open market to get value for those spots so they don't burn that early pick on it. But Kyle Hamilton is sick as hell. Like he's being undervalued.
All right, the pick is in. With the 9th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks get Drew Lock some protection. Left tackle Charles Cross from Mississippi State University. What are your thoughts on this guy? What are your thoughts on this guy? Anthony, what are your thoughts on Charles Cross here? Does this pick make sense for Seattle?
This was exactly where, again, I thought they would go. Granted, in my predictive mock, I had Ickey here and Cross going to the Giants. Switch a little bit here. But this was the pick that made sense to me. So I think Seattle looked themselves in the mirror at this spot and said, if we want a first-round quarterback, we're going to have to trade for him later on in the draft. So maybe we'll be in conversations with them at 25 if there's still a quarterback they like on the board at that point, and they're trying to get ahead of the Lions at 32 maybe. But I think this pick makes a lot of sense for a team that's in the position of Seattle. We just talked about how their offensive line is absolute shambles, right? And even though they don't have their answer at quarterback right now in Drew Lock, who's the quarterback on the roster right now, they still want to rebuild, right? And I don't think they're going to be competing this year, to be honest, but this is the first step in admitting, look, we are rebuilding. We do need to build from the trenches. This is the best player on the board, and he makes sense for what we need. We got to take him. And they did the right thing.
This unfortunately maybe looks like, and it could get crazy here in the teens. You could start to see a run, or maybe in the early 20s ahead of the Bills. Or maybe this plays into the Bills' favor if your team trade down. But it looks like this might be the year where teams have realized that if you don't truly believe in a quarterback, you shouldn't take them. Like, you should maybe just go get a left tackle and build a roster that can create a solid environment and foundation for
that quarterback.
The guy the next year, you know. So next year's class is looking pretty solid with some of the quarterbacks. But yeah, we are now at pick number 10. Unless it gets traded here, you're not going to see a quarterback go in the top 10 of the draft. What was the last time that happened? EJ Manuel? Was that EJ Manuel the last time that happened? So yeah, it's been a while since a quarterback has not gone in the top 10. So it should be super interesting. The Jets are on the clock again. They got Sauce. Do they double down on defense here? Kyle Hamilton, Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher, sort of fits in exactly.
Yeah,
but you got JMO, you got Jameson Williams, speed. They went after Tyreek Hill. They're in talks to get Deebo Samuel. Like, they've been in on some of the wide receivers in the trade market. You got Garrett Wilson. You got Chris Olave, who could be a sleeper here. So where do we think the Jets are going? And where do you think the Jets are going here?
I thought they were going to go Drake London if he was there because of his X receiver capabilities and what their current receiver grouping looks like. They kind of have like a Smurf type of Bills-esque wide receiver grouping with Elijah Moore and Corey Davis, and then bringing back Braxton Berrios. So they kind of have three. Not that you couldn't take another receiver to usurp one of them, but I thought Drake London kind of broke that mold a little bit and was a weapon that they could use for Zach Wilson, but also represented a niche need that they don't have. I'm going to say Jermaine Johnson. I think they need pass rush capability. I think Robert Saleh is trying to rebuild this defense, and I feel like Carl Lawson was a sick free agent signing 2 off seasons ago, and then he got hurt and didn't play at all last year. And I think that's a really interesting combo up front of edge rushers with Jermaine Johnson and Carl Lawson. And then especially when you look at Jermaine Johnson's skill set and frame and how he can function up front and rush from a variety of positions in multiple stances, he gets into kind of what Saleh likes to do with his bag. So that's going to be my guess on this one. Either way, they're going to come away with somebody sweet, which sucks.
The pick is in, so we're an hour 15 in, and we're about to be through the first 10 picks. There's a kid with a pretty sweet Josh Allen jersey and a giant Bills chain, which they sell everywhere in Vegas. It's like this giant chain, the Bills logo around it. It's pretty dope. Anyone else have a thought on where the Jets are going to go here? Feel strongly about where the Jets go here?
Makes sense. Jermaine Johnson to me makes sense. Sorry, Kendall, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
I also want to say just really quick, like, there's almost 500 people watching the show right now.
Yeah.
Can we give a shout out to the viewers right now really quick? Can we push this over 500?
100%.
That's awesome. 10 picks in. Maybe we can all make fun of the Jets if they blow this pick, like, of drafts past. But the Jets and Giants have done pretty well so far in this draft. Hard to mess up double top 10 picks, I suppose. So if anyone can do it, the Jets can. So let's see what happens here. But
while we're giving shout outs, Louis Riddick's suit is fantastic. I wanted to give a shout out to that. That suit is
the best.
Like,
should have worn that color tonight. I got the gold.
Your gold is fantastic.
The best thing that happened was getting him out of the booth. I love him in the booth. Don't get me wrong, but just him in general, he's like the adult in the room at ESPN when everyone's yelling back and forth at each other. He just walks in and is just the voice of reason. So the pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. Wilson to Wilson will be the connection that New York Jets fans hope is a moneymaker. Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State, to the Jets. Pick number
I
10.
hate to say it, but I like it for him.
Oh,
I really
yeah.
do. I
Yeah.
really
Hate it for
do.
the Bills.
Didn't we take him in our air raid hour mock draft to the Jets?
No, well, maybe. I remember I wanted to do that, and you guys were advocating for JMO. I don't remember what we actually did.
I have it. I'll tell you what we did.
Because my idea, what I keep coming back to for the Jets taking a wide receiver at 10 is how heavy they've been trying to get a wide receiver.
We took
for
Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
We did.
Good.
We took Wilson
So,
on our air raid mock draft to the Jets.
The
here.
Jets are trying to get a wide receiver for Zach Wilson through free agency, through trades, whatever. And they couldn't do it because the rumor that came out is no one wants to go play with Zach Wilson because they don't know what he is yet. They don't want to, ride those coattails if they don't know if they're going to go anywhere with that. So the best way to get someone in the room that's talented is draft that guy because he has no choice but to come and play.
No option.
Listen to
No
this.
options. This isn't Jim Kelly back in the days and all that stuff. So, he has no options. You get Garrett Wilson. You get a good guy. You get Wilson going. He's my wide receiver 1. He's Ant's wide receiver 1. I hate that he's on the Jets, but it's a good pick for them.
ESPN comps him to Lynn Swan.
Listen to this.
Really?
Our air raid hour mock draft, we had Hutchinson and Walker 1-2, so those were just flipped. But then we had Thibodeaux with the Giants trading up to 3, so they ended up with Thibodeaux at 5. We had the Jets with Sauce Gardner, Texans with Stingley, Panthers with Ekwonu, Giants with Neal. We did have the Falcons taking Jameson Williams, so we got that one wide receiver wrong. But we had the Seahawks taking Charles Cross, and we had the Jets taking Garrett Wilson.
Wow.
So we were
one
for the
off from
teams,
perfection.
We did
Wow.
good in the top 10.
That was
That's
amazing.
shocking.
Yeah.
So
I remember they kept making fun of us. Maybe
I was going to say, we
watch
got a lot of
Zach-
crap for that.
Watch Zach Tom
to-
go to the
to
Saints.
Dr. Romeo's point, like the top of the draft was not.
We got a
set in
trade.
stone, like
Whoa,
it was.
Whoa!
Washington traded the pick to the Saints. I knew they were going to move up. That was my.
Is
one of
this
my
where
big calls for-
Zach Tom goes, Judge?
Is this where Zach Tom goes? No. Feeling
gotta
that the
be.
Saints. I have a feeling the Saints are no longer going to select Zach Tom. in the first round.
Trade draft madness?
Good. I was updating the ticker,
Oh,
so I
boy.
can just do that.
I
now.
legitimately think this is Ritter. I really think this is Ritter.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Matt Corral.
Really? Quarterback. I mean,
I'm trying to get a vibe on what they would like because Sean Payton's gone, but it's
Exactly.
still
That's what makes it tough.
It's still Pete Carmichael. Everyone after Drew Brees, it's not exactly like they they had they threw Taysom Hill out there. It's not exactly like accuracy was their number one attribute for a quarterback. So maybe a guy like Matt Corral who decided to peacock his way into the waiting room, despite the fact that not many people thought he was a first round pick. Maybe I've seen Matt Corral to the Saints in a couple of legitimate mock drafts. Let's see. I took Schrager, Albright, and Norris's mocks, and they all had New Orleans taking. Actually, they all had New Orleans passing on quarterbacks. So
I think it's either
this
going to
should
be Penning or
interesting.
Olave.
So which first rounder do you think they gave up 16 or 19 to move up?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the?
Now-
do we have
now
a
they're
trade
showing-
chart value for this for the Bills? Did you do one for this position?
I did. So it would have taken the Bills, in my opinion, and this
Just
was, I
for
think, the first.
comparison's sake.
And this would have been the Bills ripping off the Commanders here. 25th overall, 89th overall, and a second round pick next year. So if you count the fact that the Saints pick was higher, it probably cost the Saints a 1, a 3, and a second next year. And they already don't have a first next year. So maybe they went 1, 2, 3 this year. I don't know like what they would have tried to give up as maybe 1 and 2 this year. I don't know if they have a second round pick and a third next year. So it's a 1, 2, and a 3 pretty much, I think, to make this jump. However, that they try to wrap their heads around it. Who knows? Maybe they're really desperate for a quarterback, even in a weak quarterback class, and gave up both their ones. And maybe the Commanders gave a little something back to make that work.
And Kenny in the chat says that the Saints gave up the 16th pick, a 3rd, and a 4th.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
that
a
is
lot.
not
That's
to
a
move up
16
what?
pick.
6 spots to move up 6 spots.
I think that I guess you're right. The difference between for some reason I thought they were 18. So
They have
maybe
2.
were
They
with
have
me.
16
Yeah.
and 19.
Yeah.
19.
If it's 16,
Yeah.
5 spots and a 3rd and a 4th, it's a pretty good haul for Washington considering what
Watch
they
it be
gave
for-
away to get Wentz.
Watch it be for like JMO. Watch it be for not be for
Wow.
I just think it's so weird for them
Well,
to
you got
trade
Michael.
up.
You got Michael Thomas, right? You got
right.
Michael Thomas. You need to take some pressure off of Michael Thomas. You need a guy to drop the safeties back so you can open up things for Alvin Kamara underneath. Like, a guy like J-Mo makes sense here. And the Saints always do stupid stuff that we don't.
But couldn't they get a wide receiver at 19?
Yeah.
If they still have that pick.
Not J-Mo though.
That's who I had. I had them
speed.
picking. I had them picking Jameson Williams with the 16th pick, which is now going to Washington. And interesting enough, my original pick here was wide receiver for Washington, like London, who's now off the board. So I think Washington was thinking receiver, but thought, okay, the two guys we really wanted are gone. Yeah. Let's move down a little bit and get one of the other guys and get something for it.
And with London and Wilson going 2 of the last 3 picks, the Saints are probably figuring like, we need to try to make a move for our guy now, maybe like that would be maybe the thought process around it.
You saw that someone in the chat, said watch Washington back out of the trade.
They've changed their minds at the last second before the pick became official.
I'm still reeling from that.
I also had the Saints as the first team picking a quarterback, by the way, but it was not until later on in this draft with that 19th.
I mean, you give up that much capital, right?
They've got to be, yeah.
I think it's a quarterback. It makes sense. They traded up to get into this position to trade up again. So why wouldn't it be a quarterback, especially considering they could probably have a wide receiver fall to them at 19 while keeping that pick. My gut is telling me Ritter. I don't know why he seems like a guy that they would prefer because he can come in and win from day one.
It could be the receiver piece because if you're sitting there going until 19, I don't think Olave or Jameson last until then. And maybe, I mean, again, to Judge's point, like even though Peyton's not there, the Saints traded up all those years ago and everybody was like, oh, it's going to be this guy. It's going to be this guy. And then it was like Marcus Davenport. And everybody
that was a weird one. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a fair point. They do things that we don't expect.
The pick is in. Oh my god! Hey, the Bills put all that smoke screen in at work.
I know,
smoke screen worked.
And the Saints really dug it. They were like, "You see how much the Bills love Breece Hall? We should take Breece Hall."
So the pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Goodell's coming to the podium, and this pick is an absolute stunner.
Yeah.
And this is the first real stunner of the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, once Roger Goodell walks to that podium, I will get on the chimes. The first major upset in the draft, pick number 11, giving up a 3rd and a 4th round pick to move up and get this player. The pick is in. We're waiting on Goodell to walk his way to the podium, and we will break this news to you. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it yet.
I have.
No, I'm trying to watch it live. I don't want any spoilers.
All right.
I won't do it. I like how Spin comes in and says Zach Tom. He's clearly a fan of the show.
Yes.
We made a freaking graphic for Zach Tom on the off chance.
Yes, you're welcome. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in.
Why is Tony Gonzalez there?
The New Orleans Saints trade up to pick number 11 to select Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State University. He was very popular on a lot of mock drafts. Yep. You guys were talking about how, hey, there's that run on receivers with Garrett Wilson and Drake London coming off the board. What does this mean for the Buffalo Bills with all these receivers coming off the board now? Anthony, what do you think? What does this mean for the Buffalo Bills, all these receivers coming off?
I'm getting very excited because that means cornerbacks are still on the board, and that was my prediction for a pick, especially who is still on the board at cornerback. And all along, from the first mock draft I did, both on the show and when I was looking through prospects, and Chris Olave was on the board time after time after time, I kept saying to myself, there is no way this guy is on the board at 25. I love the pick, and I picked him every time, but I was like, look, guys, he's on the board. I'm picking him, but I don't think he's there at 25. And a lot of the times I said he would go to the Saints at the pick just before the Bills at like 19 or whatever one they had there. And you know, this move, it's surprising, but could they have taken Olave if they waited a few more picks? I don't know. So the fact that they traded up to get him is definitely a bit of a shocker and did not go quarterback. But, you know, they must believe in what he can do for them, especially next to the guy they got. You know, it's Michael Thomas. It's going to be pretty exciting to watch.
It is getting crazy here. Another trade has come in, has not been announced. Why Tony Gonzalez and Austin Eckler are picking, and a guy in a Chiefs jersey are making the Saints pick. I have no idea.
And there's somebody with a
'Cause the TV
Derwin
is
James
muted.
jersey too, I think.
But
Ticker's getting wild with all these
the
trades.
Detroit Lions, ladies and gentlemen, the Detroit Lions are on the clock. They have made a trade
Traded
up
to
from
12?
32
with a division rival, no less.
with a division rival, the
Wow.
Minnesota Vikings. I was making as I was making my mock drafts and as I was preparing for our show to do the mock draft, I looked at Minnesota's roster, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. The starters are solid. It's the
They have a
backups.
good roster, yeah.
It's the backups where they get into trouble. So a team like Minnesota trading back to try and maybe add a bunch of second and third rounders who can be backups now and develop into starters makes sense for Minnesota if they can collect next year's one from Detroit, which would be a ballsy move on Detroit's part. I do believe that would help them move up for a quarterback if they were looking for a quarterback. So someone says the chat isn't supposed to be spoiling a live feed. I don't consider a trade. I only consider picks to be spoiling the feed. So, I mean, a trade's a trade. The only reason ESPN hasn't reported it yet is because the Saints hadn't made their picks yet. So I do apologize if you were mad that the trade got spoiled, but we don't know who the pick is. We just know that there was a trade. Right. So I apologize if anyone was upset that I announced that. But
decent haul for that trade for the Lions.
The reason why there was a bunch of Chiefs and Chargers players on the podium is because Amazon announced that the first ever Thursday night football game will be Chargers versus Chiefs, week 2 Thursday night football. So that'll be Kirk Herbstreit. It'll be Al Michaels, and it will be, I don't know who the sideline person is.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
moving from college. Yeah.
Well, no, he's actually doing both. So he's still doing Saturday. He's still doing Saturday Night Football. He's still with ESPN ABC.
Wow.
But he's
Thursday
moonlighting. Yeah, he's moonlighting.
Didn't he do wouldn't he be one of those dudes when they were doing like the double Monday Night Football games to kick off the year? Wouldn't he get like one of them because they had to split up crews?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Spin comes in and says cover 1 is minutes ahead. We're not minutes ahead. I saw that was my fault. I saw Roger Goodell walk into the podium, and I thought he was going to make the pick. I didn't realize they were going to announce the Amazon.
There was a whole
Thursday Night
thing
Football.
going on.
I didn't realize that was going to happen. So I do apologize for that. I know because I'm following someone who tips picks just so I can prepare myself and make the announcement. I wasn't trying to spoil it for anyone. I didn't realize Roger Goodell was going to announce a football game for 5 minutes on the stage.
Lions pick is
there,
in
so
already.
Yeah. The Lions pick is in. This should be interesting. I mean, this has got to be a quarterback, right?
I hope so.
Wow. Trade that far up. I mean, yeah, they must have really thought, okay, the Saints made us nervous that they were going to take the guy we were looking at. So
this was a haul. The Lions traded 32, 34, and 66. Granted, they got back 12 and 46, but this is still a haul.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota moved back far.
I don't hate that trade for the Lions. They got.
No, I don't hate.
I hate that trade for the Vikings. I hate that trade for the Vikings.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Wow,
that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty fair if both sides. But if you can't really, I mean, I think the Lions like that. The problem with this now is the Lions are now no longer a trade partner for the Bills, right?
Right.
Right. Like your boy Lettuce is saying right here. Now that the Lions are no longer a trade partner, what other team after pick 25, maybe in the early second round, would want to come up now? Because you got to think this is where the Lions make the move for the quarterback, knowing the Saints are still coming up with another pick at 19 where they could take a quarterback. They're really the only ones. I mean, Washington maybe could take one, but they just traded for Wentz, so I don't know that it's financially smart for them to do that. But it's going to be really interesting. Like, no quarterbacks picked so far.
There's a lot of silence in the quarterback rooms now, though.
And it's not good for the Bills in a way because now one of their what appeared to be apparent trade partners is kind of out of the picture. So
what is Matt Corral doing there?
Yeah, I made a graphic for him, by the way, because
I just don't know.
He's in the green room.
Like he's there.
And then because on the one hand, I'm like, same thing when Kyler Gordon was announced. I was like, they're not bringing people to the green room on night 1 unless they're going to get picked. And then part of me was like, no, do they want to recreate the drama from like the Aaron Rodgers year? And they want to bring someone there so they can be like, oh, like like poor Matt Corral, he's still here again, womp womp. And then I feel
Brady
like he's
Quinn
why
drops.
oh,
Remember that
there
one
you go.
too?
They want to do it. They'll be like, oh yeah, you're gonna get picked, and they're just like, he's not gonna get picked.
But at least those guys still got picked in the first round. He's probably not even gonna get picked in the first round.
There was people that had him as QB1 before he got hurt, but he plays in such a heavy RPO offense, and then you add the injury on top of it, and it's just combined with like the wariness of this class. Like, yeah, man, poor dude. Or not, watch him go like right now. And then we're like, okay, no.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting here with the Detroit Lions pick. It's going to be super interesting to sort of see what they do here. And corners continue to drop. Andrew Booth still on the board. Trent McDuffie still on the board. Kyler Gordon, Kaiir Elam, Roger McCreary, all of those guys still on the board. Lettuce comes in and reminds us that Seattle has picks 40 and 41. They might be a trade down partner. So maybe if the quarterbacks start coming off the board here, maybe Seattle starts trying to get up.
What picks did Detroit trade?
They just showed it.
32, 34, and 66, I believe.
Yep, that's right.
All right.
But the Vikings did get back 46, so they did get.
The pick is in, ladies and gentlemen, and it is a shocker. Lions select Jameson Williams, wide receiver, University of Alabama. And this has got to sting if you are a Green Bay Packers fan. The Minnesota Vikings gain draft capital from the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions jump ahead and are practically finishing off this run on wide receivers here in the NFL draft. And you look like you have a comment that you want to make here.
Did we? Sorry, I was getting lost in stuff. Did we note that the Eagles have also traded up to 13?
No, we haven't yet. They traded with the Texans.
So much.
I feel like they were trying to get Williams because they were assuming that the Lions were going to take Willis.
There's no way they make that trade official until they know. Yeah. I mean,
you think, but
who's the top receiver left on the board? Is it?
Depends on
Burks,
what your
Dotson,
flavor
yeah,
is. Dotson, Christian Watson, Sky Moore.
There's no way.
I think it's safe to assume the Bills aren't going to get a wide receiver.
Philly's coming up for Jermaine Johnson. Philly's trying to jump Baltimore for Jermaine Johnson.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Aging Brandon Graham.
And it looks like Philly did not give up 15. It looks like Philly gave up 18 too. So that is intriguing. And the Philadelphia pick is already in. An update in, kind of got a little lost in the shuffle here, but through the Jameson Williams pick, we got Anthony's big board, the best player left, number 4 overall, Kyle Hamilton, followed by Jermaine Johnson, who might come off the board here to the Philadelphia Eagles, Trent McDuffie, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Tyler Linderbaum, Devin Lloyd, George Karlaftis. These are all names that still haven't come off the board yet. Dax Hill, Zion Johnson, Trevor Penning, ton of talent, Devontae Wyatt, Andrew Booth Jr., Kenyon Green, Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, Malik Willis.
I got a question for you guys based on what's left on the board. Is Bean picking up the phone at all to sniff around for Kyle Hamilton right now?
Oh, wow.
I still think it's
I'm trying to see
right now.
What happens in 2022 if that happens? What do you like? What do you do with your defensive alignment?
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing the question out there. Is he sniffing around at all?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's got to be thinking about it, but yeah, to Anthony Romeo's point, it's too rich right now.
It is too rich.
But just right now,
there were a lot of mocks that had them trading up with Atlanta to 8 to make that.
And that is why you start picking up the phone to just put some feelers out there and say, if he drops this far, if our guy drops this far, we might have to.
I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying I prefer that.
No, Ant's got a point though. It's going to be tough to find a way to put him on the field. He is a defensive chess piece, but the Bills would have to, tweak some things.
If they did that, that means that Bean has already put feelers out of trading Poyer, which I would think, and then he's gone Hamilton's in, and Kendall and I talked about this last night. I'm okay with that, honestly, from an on-field perspective, because I really love Kyle Hamilton. But I think from a locker room perspective, I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, "Yo, you saw how they did go?"
And they just changed the graphic. Houston got pick 15, and they only jumped 2 spots. Philadelphia here. So Philadelphia was trying to jump Baltimore. Jermaine Johnson makes sense here. maybe Jordan Davis.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that. Yep.
Kyle Hamilton could also be an option here. Those are the top three.
The
that I
Eagles
think
need a
would be an
lot, right?
option.
So that's the tough thing. I think they were one of the harder teams to predict in this draft because
Mhm.
there's so many needs. I do have Jermaine Johnson going in this slot, but not to the Eagles, at least not where I thought he was
Right.
going to go. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's the pick. A lot of mocks I've seen had
Mhm.
Zion going to Baltimore, but why
Yeah.
would they need to jump if that was the pick? So I mean, maybe, but
There's been
the
tons
Eagles,
of rumblings
Mhm.
for Davis going to Baltimore.
yeah.
Maybe I think
Yeah.
we mocked him. Let's see.
I
who did
think
we
that's
pick?
exactly where we put Davis.
So
to
he could
Baltimore.
be, that
Yep,
would make
we
more
did.
sense for
We
why
did.
to jump him.
Yeah.
Why to jump Baltimore in this case.
Hot take.
Drama.
Hot take. Hot take. Jordan Davis looked a little skinny today. Like he looked like maybe he's lost a little too much weight.
Hmm.
You know,
I don't know.
that's
I
all
feel
I'm
like
saying.
any weight he
little
loses
little
is
star
going to be good for him.
little star Latule.
We
little Star
had
Latule.
Some
Kyle
drama.
Hamilton going in this slot, by the way, to Houston. So that would be an interesting.
If he goes to 15, we're still counting it.
That's right. It's a half a win.
I
Yeah,
still
half a
can't
point.
get McDuffie out of my mind for the Eagles. Their corners are not,
They still got pick
Ideal.
18 too, though. They still got pick 18.
and that's the thing. And
Hey.
that's the thing. I think
Hey.
it makes sense for them to take like a
Don't put
Jermaine
that in the
Johnson, a
ether.
Jordan
That's
Davis,
right.
Yeah, why are
something,
you doing
right?
that, man?
Leave
Why are you
those
being so
cornerbacks
sorry?
on the board. All
Mhm.
right.
It's
Stop
when
being
we
a
did our
jerk.
mock draft on the when we did our mock draft on the air raid hour, I was the one advocating for the Eagles to get help in the secondary, but
Stop doing
Jermaine
that.
Johnson was very rich. And
What if someone
I
from the
think
Eagles
that
is watching this show and he's like, you know what? That's a good point.
That's true.
We should take Trent McDuffie. Thanks, Kendall.
they won't listen to me, lowly little
Of course
Kendall,
they'll listen to you.
14-year-old.
You're baby-faced assassin.
We're like, if this kid knows so much about football at age 14,
Exactly.
gotta be a
We're
project.
taking
Gotta
him.
be.
Take a linebacker, Howie.
Everybody,
I still
everybody
can't get over
sucks.
that combine.
Children have nothing but truth in them. So they're gonna be like, look at this
That's
kid
true.
preach the good word.
We
have
don't
to
lie.
take-
I can speak
Ooh.
for children everywhere. We don't lie.
And here's another thing too. Your boy Lettuce comes in and says, "I wonder how hard Tom Grossi is sweating." For those of you who don't know, Tom Grossi is a Green Bay Packers content creator. The run on receivers has been real. I mean, I'm looking at what's left of the wide receiver room, and it's. I mean,
They gotta hope Dotson falls.
Dotson. You got to hope Treylon Burks falls, and then we're talking about like George Pickens, so that's where it gets super interesting. Do you start seeing teams reach for Sky Moore? Do you start seeing teams reach for Christian Watson?
That
Do you
was
start
my
seeing
climber,
teams
Yeah.
man.
reach for Calvin
George
Austin? even?
Pickens could be
So,
in play.
Yeah,
My
it's,
climber's looking good right now based on this run on
Yeah,
wide
that
receivers
Christian Watson
coming
thing
in.
could definitely be real
Yeah.
with the way the wide
And
receivers
guys,
are going with the board.
absolutely incredible. We got over 500 people in here. Thank you so much. Smash that like button and let the people know, what's up. Like literally, if you have someone who you think would enjoy this stream, share it with them. Text it to them. Text them about it. Let them know where to come get some awesome Bills specific draft coverage as the Eagles are on the clock here. The pick should be in any minute now. And we're within range now. So after this pick, we will be within 11 picks of the Buffalo Bills. So we are almost there.
No spoilers in the chat.
None of
People
it.
aren't
Last
people
night,
aren't 5 minutes. People
again-
aren't 5 minutes late in the chat. They're respecting the rules of the show, which is not spoil the picks in the chat.
last night on the Hoof mock draft, Booth was still on the board when the Bills pick, and I took Booth. It was my pick. I took him, and Eric and a lot of the people in the chat were mad that I did not go the wide receiver route and take Watson, and I was just kind of like, okay, but look
People like
where we
Watson,
are
man.
now. Oh, this is
You're not gonna
I'm a-
please everyone.
Mhm.
You'd have taken
Exactly.
Watson,
Never.
and people
So-
would have yelled at you that he was like the second
Right.
round pick and he wasn't
Yes,
worth
exactly.
it.
You could have got him in the third round. I'm like, okay, but I'm making the pick. Booth is the one I want, so that was who I picked last night. But now
If
there's
Booth's
a lot
there-
of steam gaining in that
Mhm.
direction now. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in. Waiting for Roger Goodell to walk up to the podium here, which he should be doing any second now. And I will announce this pick. They were
Well,
clearly trying to jump Baltimore
Mhm.
for this pick. So I am going to make that announcement right about now. It looks like Roger Goodell should be hopping up to the podium any second now. After trading up with the 13th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select one of the biggest fans of Bills Mafia, as he outed himself today, Jordan Davis, defensive tackle,
Damn.
University of Georgia. Oh my God, they took a one tech in the top 15. Value be damned. Value be damned. Kendall, what are your thoughts here with Jordan Davis?
I mean, yeah, it's a little rich if you're talking about, what he's going to do right away. He is that one tech. He's going to be just that dominant run stopper. But what is he going to give you beyond first and second down in year one? And is that worth this kind of investment? That being said, they have an aging Fletcher Cox. You saw them release and re-sign him this offseason to get his cost a little bit more controlled. So this is another kind of way to do that, get some more cost control in that area, and also bring him in while he can learn from a guy like Fletcher Cox. So I think it makes sense for them. They have an aging defensive line. I like the player. He has potential to be a 3-down defensive lineman, but he's got work to do. And I think that lost weight that you saw, Judge, is a good thing for him. He really does need to work on the conditioning side of things, being a high stamina player, high motor player, because it comes in spurts, but you want to see it all the time because he has that athleticism like everyone saw at the combine where he can shine if that motor and that stamina stays running at all times.
Yeah, and this is going to be an interesting NFC East, man. Now you got Jordan Davis chasing after guys like Dak Prescott. Dr. Romeo, what do you think about this pick here?
Yeah, I mean, clearly we said that this was one of the guys that they could be targeting because of the jump over Baltimore specifically. And when I think of Jordan Davis, I immediately think of the combine this year, right? He was one of the guys who was all over the place. I think he was one of Prohaska's first favorites in this draft from, way back when, I think. And he's certainly a guy that had a lot of hype coming in for good reason, his play on the field and everything. But it was really that combine where everybody turned their heads at his performance, which was one of the most athletic for the position ever, and one of the most shocking, I think, surprises. Everybody was buzzing about it after the combine. And from then I knew, there was some hope. Oh, hey, maybe back before we signed a few guys, maybe this is a guy who could fall to the Bills at 25 and be a good target for them. As soon as that combine hit, I'm like, oh, somebody is going to buy this guy just based on the performance tonight. Forget all the tape, forget what he's ever done before. The combine has a way of doing that, which I'm not particularly one who buys into the numbers at the combine more than what they can do on the field. I mean, maybe if a guy's bulked up or sped up or done something crazy. But he certainly was a standout there and showed that, yes, while there were concerns about his weight or whatever, he is one of these elite prospects in this draft and certainly for his position and is worthy of this pick. And in fact, is worthy of trading above a team so that you could take him.
Dave, you're a Bills fan, I think. Since you're a Bills fan, as a Bills fan, how are you feeling right now with these picks off the clock? Ekwonu, Hutchinson, Neal, Stingley, Gardner, Walker, Cross, Thibodeaux, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave, Jordan Davis, Jameson Williams. A lot of talent off the board. As a Bills fan, how are you feeling right now? Where's your mind at?
Well, my mind is I'd like to see maybe somebody try to start making a move to come up and get a quarterback because the way I'm looking at it right now, you've got Kyle Hamilton who's got to come off the board soon. And then I start looking at okay, there's a couple corners there that I like between Booth and McDuffie. And then obviously we get into the guys like Elam and Gordon, but you still have Kenyon Green on the board, right? You still have McCreary. You still have Jahan Dotson on the board. So there's still talent left. I mean, there's 10, 11 guys that I like still that are on the board. One quarterback taken can make all the difference here, I think, as far as one of those guys falling down. So I'll give you 10 guys: Hamilton, Booth, Jermaine Johnson, Kenyon Green, Daxton Hill, Zion Johnson, Jahan Dotson, Trent McDuffie, Kaiir Elam. How many was that? Was that 9 or 10? And Kyler Gordon, 10.
I lost count.
So that's 10 guys right there. I'd take any one of those. And if you don't really think Jermaine Johnson's going to get there, you can go ahead and sub in. Kyler Gordon for that. So I feel like if you're a Bills fan right now, it's not necessarily been ideal, but it also hasn't been the worst so far. I think you're kind of in a position right now, if you're a Bills fan, that you're okay with how things have gone so far.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And a good question here from guys like My Name is Jeff in the chat. Pittsburgh's going to take a QB. Are the Steelers going to be the ones to take a QB? And with you, who do you think is going to be the first one to take a quarterback off the board?
Pittsburgh. I honestly think they're going to take a QB, not regardless, but I think that's high possibility unless somebody trades up in front of them. I think they're primed to get Ritter or Malik Willis. Like I know they love Malik Willis. Like that would be their guy. So I think that's easy prime pickings for them. And then all these possibilities of, Pickett's the Pittsburgh guy, but Ritter is kind of like the most pro ready and is better than people think. And Pittsburgh does have a kind of a win now team with that defense, and they've got some weapons, but they were just really hampered by offensive line play and quarterback play last year. But I think Pittsburgh is not a no-brainer for a QB, but I think Pittsburgh goes with a QB, and the only way they're not the first is if somebody trades up in front of them.
Well, yeah, my argument there would be the team right in front of them, the Saints. I mentioned it earlier, and they're the ones that I have taking the first quarterback off the board, and it is Malik Willis. And if he's that quarterback, I have the Steelers taking another one right behind him in Pickett. So you've made the argument there that both of those picks could be quarterbacks if it falls that way.
And here's my issue with this for the Saints. I understand that they probably, if they need a quarterback, they got to take one. They traded their future assets, but I almost feel like this team feels like they're still in win now mode, especially after trading up and taking Chris Olave. There's a glaring hole at left tackle with Teron Armstead gone that they don't have filled, and they haven't really signed, to my knowledge, a free agent. So to me, that's Trevor Penning territory. That's Tyler Smith territory. I don't know if the Saints are going to. I mean, obviously they could. I think it's down to a quarterback or a defensive tackle, not a defensive tackle, offensive tackle, but. Even Jermaine Johnson's taking on the board like a sore thumb. I need Houston to take him off the board or something here. I can't believe he's dipping, but there's a lot of talent in this class. I think Jermaine Johnson might be an older prospect as well, so that might have something to do with it. So, it'll be interesting. The Ravens pick is in if they ever feel like announcing it. That would be great. ESPN is, I guess it's not their fault, really. It's the NFL's fault. But Roger Goodell, it appears, a shadowy-like figure is coming to the podium. So I believe it's Roger Goodell. So the pick is. I
really feel like they should just fucking take Kyle Hamilton, even though they have Chucky Clark and what's his face.
They value safeties in Baltimore. Always have.
Right, get back to the tradition.
They value safeties, and they have taken a safety with the 14th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft. The Baltimore Ravens select Kyle Hamilton, safety from Notre Dame. Ant, what are your thoughts here?
He's on fire, ladies and gentlemen. He says it happens. This is like the third time he said, wouldn't it be weird if they picked this guy and boom, there it is. Stealing judges, stealing Steve's thunder here.
Just call it. It's a big deal.
I was thinking of it because I was sitting there looking. That's wild, dude. I was sitting there looking because I remember they gave all that money to Marcus Williams. And then I was like, well, no, probably not safety. I'm not a big fan of Chucky Clark. I recognize his versatility and what they like to do with him. But then, to the point, their history of defense and how they made sure to get Patrick Queen. They love those pieces at linebacker. They love those pieces. Whoa.
We got some news here.
Yeah.
So
Kyle Hamilton's an awesome pick. I think Kyle Hamilton's one of the best players in this draft. Amazing move for Baltimore. Bad for Bills fans.
Player trade alert.
Wow.
This is a shocker. Field Yates is reporting that the Ravens are trading former first-round pick Marquise Hollywood Brown to the Arizona Cardinals.
Wow.
Where he will be reunited with Kyler Murray in Arizona. We don't have the compensation yet. The Cardinals sit at pick 23. This could drop a receiver like Treylon Burks or Jahan Dotson into our lap, depending on how some of these other picks go here over the course of the next 4 or 5 picks. But a player trade to go along with Kyle Hamilton coming off the board here. Just an absolute crazy 2 minutes here.
By the way, the compensation, it's pick 23 and 100 to the Ravens.
Whoa.
I feel like the Cardinals should have traded for Marquise Brown.
How dare you, man? I'm trying to fuel and produce this show behind the scenes, and you make fun of my typos.
I need I was listening to on my way home from work today. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who might not watch the Air Raid Hour, and have never seen me before, I live in Phoenix, Arizona. Driving home from work today, and they were like Steve Keim was Gambo, the local insider radio host here, was like, yeah, the Cardinals are trying to make a player trade, and I was like, what? Like, what player could possibly be available? Like, I understood Debo and I understood. I'm like, I don't know if the Cardinals are going to make that kind of move.
This is a shocker.
Boom.
I can't believe they got a first-round pick for Marquise Brown.
Yeah, that's wild to me.
They're trying to make Kyler happy. They're trying to apologize to Kyler.
There's technically some untapped potential because he's been in a run-heavy offense. You
don't
know
what he was pretty good last year.
I do believe in his talent, but
here's another thing too, and this just popped into my head. When was Nuke Hopkins at his best? Who was opposite him? What wide receiver was opposite Nuke Hopkins? Right? It was Will Fuller. Now you got another wide receiver who can take the top off of defense, take the pressure off of Nuke Hopkins. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury will call some more shots down the football field if Kyler can see him over the offensive line. They might actually have some success.
I mean, he had 91 receptions last year for the Raiders. He wasn't a bum. He had over 1,000.
No, he was not.
But the Cardinals are refusing to pay Kyler and playing hardball with Kyler and getting into all this type of drama with Kyler over money. And they're going to trade for a receiver who's also has his contract coming up, right? Like,
yeah, that's what's interesting.
Does the 5th-year option carry over when you trade for a player?
Mm-hmm. Here's
probably
okay,
right? Because the Darnold got his 5th year picked up with.
We gotta pick in. My apologies here. Yep. Let me get the little.
Maybe Marquise Brown's going to bat leadoff, so that way Kyler can bat second, and they can protect him in the batting order.
Shocker here, an interior offensive lineman off the board. The Houston Texans select one of my favorite players in this draft. Kenyon Green played left tackle, and he also swung around that offensive line at Texas A&M. He's predicted to be a left guard in the pros. So
popular mock draft target for the Bills fans of the last week or so. Well, really more than that, but
really
a popular pick lately to the Bills was Kenyon, and for the right reasons. Eric did great tape analysis on him. I know you guys did too, but really, that was probably one of the guys on my short list heading to 25 right now was Kenyon Green, and now he's off the board. So the Texans, like we were saying earlier, good on the bookends with Titus Howard and Tunsil. They needed to shore up the interior there, and this is a good move for them, I feel like. So they're trying to shore up that interior or that entire offensive line, but the question still will remain where the Texans is like, who's going to be the facilitator of that offense, right? They're going the other direction, trying to shore up that line first before they figure that out.
They're in purgatory with Davis Mills. They are truly in purgatory.
Yep.
I'm looking around the draft board right now for the Buffalo Bills, and I'm looking at my first round draft board. Breece Hall is still available. Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, George Pickens. I don't really think the Bills would be in on a guy like Pickens. Trevor Penning, again, not a need, not a guy I think the Bills would be in on. Tyler Linderbaum, Zion Johnson, Jermaine Johnson, Devontae Wyatt, Devin Lloyd, Trent McDuffie, Andrew Booth Jr., Kyler Gordon, Daxton Hill, and Lewis Seen. I think the three that stick out, obviously, like a sore thumb here, Trent McDuffie, Andrew Booth, Kyler Gordon. You can even throw Kaiir Elam in there too, since his name has risen in the past couple of days. As a Bills fan, Anthony, where's your head at right now?
Definitely loving who's still on the board, especially with the conversation we just had previous to these amazing picks. First of all, this is awesome, right? This is why we love the NFL draft. These last 4 or 5 picks, trades, pick is in, here goes this, here goes that, guy off the board. Somebody goes who we didn't expect or to a team we didn't expect. This is what's exciting, but I'm getting my energy up as the Bills pick gets closer because what did we just discuss? The Saints are ahead of the Buffalo Bills. The Steelers are ahead of the Buffalo Bills. Those are 2 quarterback-needy teams. If another team wants to grab a quarterback before them, they might trade up and get a quarterback. This is prime quarterback range, and with all those names that you just rattled off, the Buffalo Bills are going to have their pick of the litter when it comes to them for who is still on the board. Cornerback, offensive line, all the positions that are valuable to this team. Wide receiver is one that's kind of been drained a little, but we still said there's options there for that too, if that's the direction they go. Trading down becomes an even more ideal option because there's so many players still on the board. Maybe you want to stay in round one and somebody else moves up with the way we've seen things moving around. And if there is a run on quarterbacks, this is getting just so much more exciting. And this is what we live for, watching the NFL draft.
Yeah, this has gotten absolutely wild. I private messaged you guys. I'm like, I'm going to dip to go to the bathroom. And then all hell broke loose.
600 viewers in the stream.
Man, that's
we have hit
amazing.
We have hit the 600 mark, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Again, word of mouth is the best way to share this. So if you think anyone else would enjoy this Bills specific draft coverage here at Cover One, text a friend, message a friend, share the link. We would super appreciate it. Smash that like. We would super appreciate it as well.
Or on the flip side, if you think this is terrible and you want to ruin someone's night, send them the link and tell them about us.
You sell your sponsorships and you sell your show in so many amazing ways that I want to steal, but I don't want to come off as someone who steals things from other people. So I can't do it. And so I come off as the generic bland one. And
you're a good person. Thank you.
So by all means, you can shill however you want to shill, because you do it way better than I do. The Commanders are on the clock. The NFL needs to speed things up here, because I definitely do need to take a break here. But it's getting interesting. I wouldn't be surprised. Commanders, Chargers, Eagles, who didn't take a wide receiver, Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, George Pickens. I think they could all start coming off the board here. I think that there could be a panic, and I think that teams who are looking to looking to beef up Carson Wentz, looking to not have to, looking to, keep the wide receiver room full because some receivers are coming up with the Chargers, looking to maybe, again, bolster Jalen Hurts and see what you got from Jalen Hurts with the Eagles. Boom, boom, boom. These next three picks could easily be wide receivers. Jermaine Johnson is still sitting out there like a sore thumb as well. So it should be super interesting. Wow. If we need a wide receiver, my guess is it'll be interesting to see where the Commanders go here. We thought a receiver was going to go to the Commanders in our mock draft. I believe we had that.
Yeah. I don't remember if we actually took one. Did we?
Yeah, we did. We had him staying at 11 and taking Drake London.
That's okay.
Yeah, I struggled with it because they currently have Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, and De'Ami Brown. So I was struggling with the idea of wide receiver, but they're a good roster. They don't have a lot of holes. And Judge, you talked about how Terry McLaurin could be somewhat upset with the current situation in Washington. So that bodes the question: do they try to evaluate that position?
This is not a joke. This is not a joke. AJ Brown has been traded to the Eagles, and also the Commanders pick is in.
Wow.
That's real.
What
the Commanders pick is in.
The Commanders pick is wild. Not wild. Oh my god.
So, excuse me, while the Washington Commanders take Jahan Dotson off the board.
I don't like that. I don't.
And you will notice this graphic is up, and I'm leaving this comment from I Waterfall here. AJ Brown to the Eagles for pick 18, and Jahan Dotson off the board. Wide receivers going like crazy. The NFL is the new NBA. This is wild. I do apologize. We had a super chat that sort of went out the wayside here. Patrick Chase says, great chat tonight, fellas. Thanks for making this fun. Great energy. Listen, we're not the ones providing the energy. The NFL is the one providing the energy tonight.
Seriously.
This is so exciting. Yeah.
Just going. All right, gentlemen, we're going to go around the horn here and get a reaction. AJ Brown to the Eagles, Jahan Dotson to the Commanders. The Chargers pick is in. Things are rolling. What is going on? Dave, we'll start with you.
Well, I can't remember a time where in such close proximity, there have been so many player trades involved, and not just like run of the mill guys. You're talking about Hollywood Brown and AJ Brown, right? Like you're talking about, like, I mean, say what you want about Hollywood Brown, but he's still a talent and still one of the up and comers at the position in the league. And AJ Brown is arguably, from a dynasty standpoint, if you want to talk fantasy, or just from an NFL standpoint, he's a top 5 to 10 wide receiver in the league right now, in my opinion. So big moves being made, draft capital being thrown around. This middle part of the draft from pick 10 on has been wild. And I hate to see Jahan Dotson off the board, but I don't mind him going to the Commanders. We obviously I mean, I kind of root for Ron Rivera a little bit. They're in the NFC, and better to see him go there than to someone like Kansas City or someone else making a move up or an AFC team. So he was kind of like in the back of my mind as a guy that maybe the Bills would consider if he was there at 25, but obviously didn't make it there. So just wild stuff going on right now.
It's nuts when we're talking about number one wide receivers on competitive playoff teams. And it's just nuts how much these two guys within the span of a couple of picks got traded from one team to another and completely changed the landscape of wide receivers on all of the teams involved.
Yep. And I will say the Chargers now on the clock. This is an interesting one. In our air raid mock draft, we had him taking Trevor Penning here, which I think value-wise right now, where we are in the draft and kind of what's come off the board, I don't think that's a bad option for the Chargers right now. What do you guys think?
I mean, that's where my head was at, but the pick has been announced, and the pick is Sir Zion Johnson, and I think that's gonna break the hearts of a lot of Bills fans, including myself.
Yep.
I mean,
I didn't think he was
thought
gonna be there though at 25.
I didn't think he was
that's
either.
That's why I
the
said
way,
like if him
the
or
way
Green
things
were there,
going,
awesome.
there was a chance maybe
we were going back and forth between Zion and Penning on that pick, if I recall.
We were, because they need help on the offensive line. That's the bottom line for them. I just thought they would have gone bookend to protect Herbert. They decided to go interior, help out.
Tennessee's on the clock now,
obviously,
right? After that trade?
Yes, Tennessee is now on the clock because they traded
and Tennessee
Brown to Philly.
Did Tennessee trade up for Zion? Like, because they need Linderbaum? Like, they need some.
No, Zion just went to the Chargers.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, did they just get bumped? Did they just get through Trevor Penning here? I mean, that's a very Titans pick. Mike Vrabel. Trevor Penning.
Why would the Titans trade?
They take Jermaine Johnson now?
Yeah.
What do the Titans receivers look like?
Yeah, I mean, they just
Julio's gone.
What are they doing at Tennessee?
Julio and AJ Brown gone. Like, are they in the market now for a Treylon Burks, maybe, or right?
They must be taking a wide receiver here. You can't trade away your best player and then expect. I mean, offensively, they have
Johnson,
a running back, obviously, but
I don't know.
We got it. My name is Jeff. Comes in with looks up from it. My name is Jeff. Comes in with a super chat. Appreciate that. The Eagles could have had Burks on a rookie and instead trade for an injury-prone AJ Brown. Crazy. I think he's going to do some work in those RPOs with a guy like Jalen Hurts, though. So that could be something that they were looking at as a way to sort of buff that up there. The Titans pick is now in. This is getting wild. Some more drama. Lamar Jackson RTing people that are dismayed with the Hollywood Brown trade. So drama in the B-more. And the Titans pick is in. So, I mean, my head is spinning, gentlemen. My head is spinning, gentlemen.
We went it was like the first 10, what was it, 9-10 picks with no trade, and then all of a sudden the trade started happening. And not just picks, like players, which is just crazy to me. Like, you have two different players traded for first round picks and like within 3 picks of each other.
I actually need to double check that to make sure you weren't messing with me. Oh yeah, bye New Orleans. Thank you.
Did they just advance? Did the Suns just advance?
Suns just won. Suns at 6, baby.
I love the comment in the chat from James saying, surprise, Kansas City has not moved up. That was definitely something talked about. They have those back-to-back picks. Yeah. I think they have needs that they can fill there. And like we said about the Bills, there's talent that's falling. But they could have been a team who traded up to get a Jameson Williams or any guy they wanted at that point with both of those first-round picks. And they're silent there, so they must have a plan with those 2 first-rounders back-to-back.
I wouldn't trade up if I was them right now.
Yeah.
I'd sit there and just take 2 studs. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, Amber Log comes in, says, I love you guys, and I love this draft. This is crazy. We love you guys, too, in the comment section. Super appreciate all you guys' contributions. You guys are the ones who make the show exactly what it is. Your boy Lettuce says maybe the Titans draft Desmond Ridder, and they start to they move Tanner Wheels to wide receiver.
Former wide receiver in college.
To wide receiver.
John DeMarshi says, hey, Breece Hall is still on the board, offensive tackle / offensive guard. Trevor Penning is still on the board, and Lewis Cine, the safety. I think Lewis Cine is the sleeper.
I don't see Penning as a guard. No disrespect to John,
he's a tackle.
But I like where his head's at.
Tennessee.
Yeah,
I always forget that too.
He's not a number 1. Like,
no. Well, but he's a terrific blocking wide receiver and a good high end too. So then you're just like, okay, we're just going to run the ball.
Yep.
We're going to run
the
duo
Titans
and
players. Titans players now taking to social media This Jeffrey Simmons, this better not be true. Taylor Lewan, what? ... So the drama is.
This is what we talked about with the Jordan Poyer stuff. You
Mike
got to manage
Vrabel-
that
yeah.
locker room.
Mike
Yeah.
Vrabel's
Got to
a
manage
dick.
the locker
We
room.
know that.
No, hold
He's
on,
a
hold on.
dick.
Time out. To Chris B chat. No, spoilers are not okay in the chat. Chris
Yeah.
B.
No.
Appreciate you. I know you're
Thanks
here.
for asking, though.
Steve,
I
yeah,
appreciate
thank you. We appreciate that. For anyone not coming in, when Roger Goodell starts to walk up to the podium, I know the Titans pick, but when Roger Goodell starts to walk up to the podium is when I will announce it for those people who maybe have the ESPN muted and are kindly listening to us. So we super appreciate that. Got a couple super chats, and then the Titans pick is in, and it looks like they're going to make that announcement any second now. Steve Rose says the cornerback's likely on the board. I hope the Bills do not go running back. We're going to have that conversation in a moment after the Titans pick. And then Ned Ryerson says, wow, we got a bunch of super chats rolling in here. So we do appreciate that. Ned Ryerson, over under, we stay at 25 versus trade back. Ned,
we're going to stay at this.
We're going to come back. We're going to get back to that after the Titans pick because we do appreciate that super chat as well. We'll talk corners. We'll talk trading back.
Oh, Vrabel's got a nice
PJ Rutura comes in and says Trent McDuffie is still there. I believe in miracles.
Believe in
guys.
miracles.
You believe
Thank
in
you
miracles?
guys for the super chats. We're going to rewind and go back to those in a moment.
Yeah.
But the Titans pick is in. And ladies and gentlemen, once Goodell comes up to the board, we are going to discuss how the Tennessee Titans have essentially they have essentially made an interesting decision here, a monetary decision, it looks like.
It's got something brewing.
And
Let's get some
AJ Brown got a 4-year extension, $100 million from the
Woo, 25
Wow.
million.
Good for him. I like AJ Brown.
Wide receivers getting paid.
That's
And
almost
he's out of
down
the
on your
AFC now.
point, Judge.
He's out of the AFC.
Yes,
Great.
exactly. Bye. See ya.
Titans were the ones
loss.
last year.
And
Get
listen,
him out of
The
here.
pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to announce that the second old man Goodell starts walking up to that podium, and it looks like is his shadowy figure come out of that tunnel yet?
How do they move so slow? Like the next pick is probably already.
They
All
do
right.
it.
Oh, it
Fuck
is.
with
It
her.
100% is.
Fuck with
All
us.
right.
I know it.
Goodell is walking out to the podium. He's getting there. So pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. The Tennessee Titans have traded out their star wide receiver AJ Brown for a newer model. Wide receiver Treylon Burks
Oh,
out of the
there it is.
University of
That's-
Arkansas.
I called that one.
They had to,
Fine.
yeah.
So Kendall makes the point, like AJ Brown immediately gets a new deal in Philly. Tennessee has now drafted a player who is getting a lot of comparisons to AJ Brown and Treylon Burks. And this is getting wild for the Bills. If you're a Bills fan, you have just seen Zion Johnson come off the board, Jahan Dotson come off the board. Now Treylon Burks come off the board. And we had a whole bunch of super chats that I'm going to rewind to in a moment. But it's like we're sitting here looking at this. I mean, this is starting to get worst case scenario for the Bills minus cornerback. Cornerback.
Yeah.
Because it's going to come down to
And
unless
everyone's
Jermaine-
dreams are going to come true because everyone and their mom wants a cornerback.
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick? Like the Titans traded AJ Brown for a guy they hope will become as good as
AJ Brown, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so wild. It's
And
mon-
they're a competitive playoff team. The other teams we talked about at least are rebuilding in some way or are trying to get the guy who can be the guy. They're a playoff team, and they did that. That's the most surprising move, I think.
We got Lauren Oubre coming in. Lauren, we appreciate this. She says, I have nothing to value to say. I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
you on
come
Twitter, cracking wise
Come
all the
on.
time. It's hilarious.
Fantastic.
But you guys work so hard and deserve all the support. Thank you, Lauren. We appreciate that. And like I said, she's a must follow on Twitter. Go find her. I'm retweeting her all the time. She's hilarious. We got Ax and Jax coming in saying, just spent some time over on the Chiefs YouTube friends. I think Bean needs to draft Jameson Williams again at 25 to twist the knife a little more.
That's funny.
So that's a great tweet there. And these super chats are coming in hot and heavy now. So I do apologize. I'm going to try to pull them up as best as I can. I think another super chat has come in since I read this one. So I'm going to go back to it here. No new super chat has come in, but to sort of echo, and I apologize that I'm not pulling these up again. And if I missed a super chat, let me know and I will go back to it. But to echo the super chats here, like, do we trade back now? Like, what do we do at pick 25? The only wild card to me on the board is Jermaine Johnson. Like, that's the wild card on the board right now. And if someone's dipping like this, I feel like it's got to be possibly a medical issue. I haven't had a chance to, because everything's been going so like hot and crazy here. Like I haven't had a chance to like search it on Twitter to see if maybe it's a medical thing for Jermaine Johnson, but it's
It
Brees
falls in
Hall.
a pat slap, I'm sure.
Like, it's
Oh,
Brees Hall.
God.
Yeah, don't say that.
It's George Pickens. It's Trevor Penning. Maybe Tyler Linderbaum if that's your flavor of interior offensive lineman. Dax Hill, Lewis Seen, Trent McDuffie, Andrew Booth, Kyler Gordon, Kaiir
Lots
Elam,
of
Roger
names,
McCreary.
baby.
Travis Jones, dark horse for
Travis
25.
Jones, dark horse. That one tech, Devin Lloyd, dark horse.
I'm gonna throw up.
Peter
I'm so nervous
Schrager's
right
Peter Schrager's first mod. Quay Walker.
Oh my god. I mean, this is if you're a Bills fan and you wanted a
Mhm.
corner, this is working out exactly how you want it, right? If you
Six
like
receivers.
McDuffie, if you like Booth, if you like Gordon, if you like Elam, if you like any four of those, if you like
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
that's 5 guys. If you like any of those guys and you're comfortable with the Bills taking any of them at 25, you feel really
They're
good
all
right
gonna
now.
go now. Next
And
5.
and that's exactly.
I was gonna
the
say you
kicker
still
here,
got to
right?
get through the gauntlet. You still got to get through this gauntlet.
But I
There's
think
not gonna be
that's
5 corners in a row.
that's
I'll
the
say that
big
right now.
kicker here, though, is that say the Bills do like 3 of these corners that we've all talked about, right? Maybe it's Booth, maybe it's Elam, whoever it may be. If they like 3 of them, if they like 4 of them, that gives them a lot more leverage to say, you know what, we're going to trade down because one of these guys.
But
is
there
gonna
has
be
to be
there
someone
early
wanting to
in
come
2.
up, though. That's
Exactly,
the thing.
exactly.
And the Bills, Rousseau was on the board last year with Joe Tryon and other defensive ends, and they stood pat and took their guy, right? So I
Right.
feel like
I think they could do that.
there's no, we don't know for sure, but it's in what you described, Anthony, is it could have been true last year too. They could have liked Rousseau, Tryon, and you know, Peyton Turner,
And they
whoever
took
it
their
was,
guy.
right?
Yep.
And they took their guy that they wanted. But if New Orleans and Pittsburgh pass on quarterbacks here with these picks coming up,
Please.
then Seattle or maybe Pittsburgh from the second round wants to come up to 25. But why would you do that if you're Pittsburgh if you could just take the guy here, right? So, like, to me, Seattle becomes an interesting option as a trade up partner to 25, and because now that Detroit's kind of not sort of there, but then what is it? Seattle has picks 40 and 41, I think, something like that. So you're moving down 15
32
spots.
and 34. Yeah.
You're moving down 15 spots to if you're the Bills, and at that point 15 guys gone. That's a lot of talent off the board, potentially corners, potentially offensive linemen, and even potentially the running backs. You know, I know we don't want to talk about running backs in the first round, but at pick 40 there's potentially running backs off the board that you might like that are gone. So I feel like the Bills will stand pat at 25 at this point.
We got Tony Moss Dossie coming in saying, love your content, guys. Learned so much more from you guys, which unfortunately means I get in way more arguments with friends because they don't. So we appreciate that, Tony. Sorry it took so long.
Wait, they don't like us? Is that what you're saying?
They don't agree with us. So the Saints pick is in. I don't know if these Army guys are making it or not because it's on mute. Are these people making the pick here? If they are making the pick, they are making the all right. They're making the pick from the sky. So I've already one up the Make-A-Wish kid. Do I now one up a fighter pilot here?
No, they're cheering. You're good.
I don't think you should.
Yeah.
Are they making a pick? It's on mute, and there's just a bunch of fighter pilots. That's all I see.
Goodell's coming out.
Now
No,
they said back to you,
they're
Commissioner.
not.
Yeah.
They're not making.
Oh
it.
man,
Man, that stage
That'd
looks
been pretty.
amazing.
That'd been pretty sick. All right,
Well, they
the pick,
did say we are excited to make the pick.
yeah,
So I
the
thought
pick is
they were-
in. Goodell is on the stage.
Oh, yep.
Trevor Penning, left tackle from Northern Iowa, the Teron Armstead replacement to the New Orleans Saints, who don't need a quarterback or don't want a quarterback. They got famous Jameis, they got Andy Dalton, they got Taysom Hill at tight end. They don't feel the need, it looks like, and they are staying in the win now mode, taking Trevor Penning, offensive lineman from Northern Iowa.
Like that, if you're a Bills fan, I do like.
you love that. Quarterback or
yeah.
offensive tackle is good for us.
Yep.
And now we need the Steelers to do their part and draft Malik Willis here, right?
Oh, God.
Like,
Yes,
is,
sir. Yes, sir.
Quarterback.
It's getting real here, gentlemen. It's getting real here. Where are our heads at if we're Bills fans? Dave, I'm gonna start with you. Like, where's your head at right now?
My head's kind of now wrapped my mind around the fact that it looks like it should be a corner, but again, I can't definitively say. Like, if Jermaine Johnson somehow makes his way to 25, I couldn't tell you that that Bean would pass him up.
If we've learned anything from Bean, he's going to take Jermaine Johnson.
That
I'm
means
just
my
saying.
tweet from today is prophetic, and I would be so mad at myself for tweeting it.
And you'd be so mad at yourself because you're a superstitious guy too. So like that would really probably make you mad. But look, I mean, I predicted Kaiir Elam. There's a lot of corners still on the board, whether it's him or someone else. Like if a corner is selected with pick 25, I think a lot of people are going to be happy about that. At this point, with the wide receivers off the board, with Kenyon Green and Zion Johnson off the board,
right?
That seems to be the best combination of value and need right now. If I'm looking at this board, if I'm a Bills fan.
And I'm searching the Twitter streets, and it's a mystery as to why Jermaine Johnson is falling here. Maybe this is where the NFL truly had him. Like he had that big Senior Bowl, he rose up. Maybe this is actually where the NFL had him. Some of the smoke this week was that he was going to go top 10. Maybe that smoke was to try to drop a Kayvon Thibodeaux. Maybe that smoke was to try to drop somebody else, like a Derek Stingley, into someone else's lap. But yeah, absolutely crazy. Eric Farrell coming in with the super chat here. He says, is it possible the NFL has rated cornerbacks a lot lower than all of us draft nicks?
Oh my God, I can't wait to see Anthony live react to that.
What if the Bills say nah and pick a running back? Anthony, what do you think? Are we overthinking the corner? Is the NFL overthinking? Are they underthinking, I should say, the cornerback position?
No, I think these guys, a corner is still an elite position in the NFL, obviously. And a lot of these guys, they're not necessarily the two who were elite went early. And that's what everybody expected. Those two guys were going to be gone in the top 5 or so. And that's exactly where they went. The rest of these, even us as Bills fans who have been watching every single one of these guys in the offseason, knowing that cornerback is the biggest need on our team, it's still up in the air. Which one do you think they're going to pick at 25? Well, Elam, or is it Booth, or is it, McDuffie, whichever one they seem to like, it's whoever, if you ask 5 people, you might get 5 different answers of the cornerback that the Bills could take at 25. And that is because they all, to me at least, fit in this range of talent, right? They could have gone in anywhere from 12 to 32, or maybe even falling to the second round for some of these guys. And that to me means the Bills are keeping their eyes on that. They know that one of these guys is going to be on the board now for them. And I still believe that is the pick they're going to make, is cornerback, especially with offensive line kind of taking off as an option, at least the ones that I would pick in that position. Yeah. And cornerback is still the most screaming need on the team. If they pick running back at this point with all of those corners on the board, I'm going to be completely dumbfounded. I'll say
devil's advocate, all those corners on the board, they take the running back they want now and then trade up in the second to get one of the corners in the mid 40s.
I'd be okay with it if that's the case. But I don't know, with the corners that are on the board right now, like if say all of them fall to 25, I will be upset if they take it. And I'm not someone who's like upset with running back at 25, but given the way the board is falling, it would upset me.
Zion and Kenyon Green going. Offensive line's pretty much, I feel like, out of the question now for the Bills. It would be a big reach to go for maybe a Tyler Smith would be kind of a reach to me at 25. Maybe not, but it still doesn't seem like a great option. And then the receivers, like we talked about, like the Dotsons of the world, the Burks, who kind of were in that range to maybe get to the Bills. Now you're talking about guys like Sky Moore, Christian Watson. Like, is that really where you're going to spend the 25th pick? Probably not. But you also kind of have the Chiefs in the back of your head sitting there at 29 and 30, and you're wondering what they're going to do with those 2 picks. So do you cock block them in a way and make a pick that kind of fills a need you have, but also kind of prevents them from getting a marquee player maybe at a skill position? I don't know. That's an interesting.
I mentioned that last night on the Hoof, they were a lot in the chat. They were pushing for taking a wide receiver at that position for that exact reason that you mentioned, Dave. They were all saying, take it away from it's a
terrible strategy on wide
take cornerback. If you take cornerback instead of wide receiver, you've now let the Chiefs draft that star wide receiver to replace, Tyreek Hill. And I said the same thing. I don't care. I'm picking for the Bills. I'm not picking for the Chiefs.
You can't.
You don't play defense in the draft. You play offense.
Exactly. You can't control what they do.
We got John DeMarshi in the chat saying Breece Hall tested as a 9 RAS. Some of the best RAS scores, closest athletes were guys like Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley. Take a cornerback in round 2. So he's letting his voice be heard. And the Steelers pick is in. I don't know what's going on. I see Franco Harris and Michael Irvin. So what those two could be talking about, I have no. And then there's a Ferris wheel going on. So I don't know where Roger Goodell falls in all this. But the question is
AQ on the top of the Ferris wheel right now?
The pick is in, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call it here. And Money Mitch has some competition in the Steel City. The quarterback who played college ball in Pittsburgh stays in Pittsburgh to play professional ball. Kenny Pickett is the first quarterback off the board to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Hometown. How about it?
Listen, guys, I'm just being real here, and this sort of cockiness and abrasiveness could come off and really haunt me in the future. But those baby hands in that weather, I'm not afraid of that quarterback on that football team. As someone who is an AFC, someone whose favorite team plays in the AFC, that pick right there does not strike fear into my heart. Anthony, I see you sort of nodding your head down there. Do you agree?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I agree with that completely. Of course, this is what we've all been talking about. Take a quarterback. Please take a quarterback. Take another quarterback. Take a third quarterback if you want right here, right? All that means is more talent is falling to the Buffalo Bills at 25. And Ant has been on fire tonight, by the way. Let's acknowledge that. He said, again, Pittsburgh would be the team to take. Maybe they take Pickett. There it is. He's there again. And this is a great move for the Bills because, like you said, not only does it mean talent is falling now, but the long-term prospects. Is this a guy who I'm afraid of becoming the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers? No. He's Mitchell Trubisky to me is just as much of a threat right now. So
oh my God.
it's
so
just not comparative. Exactly.
Jared Goff just got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Jared Goff is not going to do well in that Pittsburgh weather. We got Lance coming in the super chat.
Jermaine Johnson right now for the Pats is like,
all
I can think about.
You made it happen, Dave.
I know, but I'm trying the reverse jinx. I'm trying the reverse jinx.
Hey, he would look good for the Packers. Baltimore could get him at 23 after a trade back. That'd be mighty. After trading Hollywood Brown, that'd be mighty crazy. Lance coming in saying Cam Taylor-Britt in the third, trade up, get a running back and a tight end round 1, round 2. Ooh, that's interesting. Holland likely with Cam Taylor-Britt is an amazing draft. Adding some playmakers for Josh Allen while adding a guy in the secondary. By chance said, is everyone live again tomorrow? Yeah, we will be right back here tomorrow night for day 2 of the draft, and we will even have some folks here for day 3 as well. So Cover One's got you covered from start to finish. We will be live the entire time. These ESPN guys are live as well. So if you are sick and tired of Mel yelling "Tad, Tad, Tad," and you want to just hear me yell over people, you can come over here.
You said like the Frank Caliendo version. Tad,
Tad, Tad, Tad, Tad. We lost 700 viewers just now. But anyway,
tell everybody. Yo, it's draft miss. Like Merry draft miss.
Yes.
Tell your friends, your enemies, whoever. Let's get this thing over 1,000. Everybody tell everybody. I want it.
Could the run on quarterbacks? Could the run on quarterbacks be starting? It appears the Patriots and the Chiefs are now on the clock. Could this be for Jermaine Johnson, a edge rusher?
Wait, Patriots traded with the Chiefs here?
The Chiefs are on the clock.
Interesting.
Is there a trade? We need to get a trade dinger.
This ticker has turned into a complete shit show, by the way. I have run out of
it. Just said the Patriots pick is in, and then said, "Oh wait, they traded it to the Chiefs."
And this, to me, this has got to be Jermaine Johnson. Maybe it's Kyler Gordon. Maybe they're trying to get ahead of the Bills. So Green Bay wants probably, with all the receivers gone, Green Bay edge rusher, right? So Baltimore taking Kyle Hamilton and all those receivers being gone, edge rusher. Buffalo corner, like some of these teams need corners, some of these teams need edge rushers. Hell, wide receiver here. Could the Chiefs be trading up for George Pickens to jump? Green Bay Packers fans gotta be losing their mind if it's a wide receiver here, because they have just jumped Green Bay. 6 receivers have come off the board. We could see 7 receivers come off the board for the Bills pick. This is getting absolutely wild.
I hate that if the Chiefs trade up and get a receiver, but I do like the fact that they're giving up capital. And I do like the fact that it's one of the guys that I would have been like, man, if I was a Bills fan.
I'm with you, Tilt. Yep.
So it's like it's fine. I mean, whatever. I don't. They could have probably, like, if they're trading up to get ahead of Green Bay to take Pickens or Watson, like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna worry too much about that right now.
And the Chiefs pick's already in.
Do we
It
know
makes no
which
sense.
pick they gave up? Yeah, I guess it doesn't really
It
matter.
didn't show on ESPN.
Probably
yet.
the earliest one, but yeah, this is it's getting real here, folks. The and the
gotta be
report
Wyatt.
is
Or
I
Jermaine
had them.
Johnson.
I had the Chiefs taking both a cornerback and a wide receiver with their back-to-back picks. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those moves now, especially the cornerback move, jumping the teams that, are seeing some of these cornerbacks still on the board that could take them. The Chiefs are saying, no, we want our guy at
Yeah.
cornerback. And they were the first team to pull that trigger and say, here's where we have to do it.
all right. So the Chiefs pick is in. It's going to be interesting. What team were they trying to? I could tell maybe by
Oh
Anthony's
no, people in the
expression.
chat are saying things. Oh no.
But here's the thing: if you're New England and you need a corner, right? Like, why would you trade out of
Why
that
trade
spot,
out, right?
right? Unless
Maybe those medicals on Devin Lloyd were real and they were
Mhm.
trading back because that's who their true target is,
Right.
but they don't want to
True.
do it at 21. It could be something like that because I see
That makes
him as a
sense.
first perfect.
Stop
fit in
spoiling
New
things in
England.
the chat.
What
How
did they-
hard?
Did anyone say it?
Come on.
Technically, they didn't say his name.
No, but everybody doing allusions to it and saying, "Oh, they picked our boy," and "damn," or "oh no," or "ouch." Like, come on. Like, we can add 2 and 2.
Yeah, I do not know the pick yet, but I'm pretty sure I do now.
In my defense,
All I
it
know is
wasn't
we're
my
going to be
boy.
disappointed.
Should I just reveal the pick now before ESPN does?
No,
Just
no,
do
no,
it.
no,
Okay.
no.
I would do it.
no.
Whatever. Who cares?
Anthony, you all right?
No.
Ant, you
It's
all
a
right?
very simple thing. You don't have to spoil
Yeah.
in the chat. It's an easy thing.
710
Drive on the right
people.
side of the road. That's it.
We're gonna
Let me
sit
tell you,
down.
I
We-
teach a class
while
of
we are-
19 and can't get them all to listen.
While
So
we,
710 still listening.
while we wait for the Chiefs pick, we've hit the 700 mark, which is another milestone. So thank you. Keep on sharing this broadcast. Only invite people who won't hit picks. Bring them on to the show.
Wow, the
word of mouth
Patriots
is the
got a
best.
good haul in that to only move down 8 spots.
Pick for the Kansas City Chiefs is in, and they have selected cornerback
Mm.
Trent McDuffie. Ant has put himself on mute here. And what kind of fit is this for the Kansas City Chiefs?
He's a really good corner. He's tremendously scheme versatile. He's got tremendous football intelligence. A really savvy guy that multiple coaches and draft analysts talked about how good he was in the whiteboard and talking X's and O's with NFL teams and breaking things down. And you see it when he's on the field. His ability to diagnose pattern match, to fall off in coverage and read the quarterback's eyes, his ability in zone, his ability in man, his ability to tackle, his physicality. I think he's a high floor guy, and he's also a high ceiling guy. I know he's got short arms. I don't care about that with him in a similar vein with McCreary, because they've got other strengths that can mitigate that one deficiency and that one vulnerability. But he just does a lot of things really, really well. Competes at every step of the way, in every step of the game, and every step of the way. He was my corner 3. I had him high on my big board too. This is a really, 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 really good pick for Kansas City.
Yeah, it's this is a difficult one. We got David Mangan coming in saying, nicest Cowboys fan I've ever
brother.
met. Says, shout out from a Cowboys fan. I'm kind of rooting for the Bills to do well this year. I want to see a repeat of the 90s. That would be a heck of a lot of fun.
Thank you, David. Except this time we want to win. That's my brother.
Yeah.
in real life.
And
He's watching. He's a
not
Cowboys
to
fan.
not to take someone we don't want to pick number 24 as well. So
That's right. Please.
you know, take
that'd
someone.
be awesome.
We'll give you Jermaine. We'll sacrifice Jermaine if it means dropping a corner to us maybe here. Lance Nelson comes in and says, don't splash the pot.
Love it. Rounders reference. Love it.
Yes.
So we are in the thick of it. Eric B coming in. He's upset. He says,
I'm not that
no.
upset, honestly. I like McDuffie.
Yeah.
I had McDuffie ahead of Booth personally,
Mhm.
but at the same time, like, we knew that there was going to be a corner that was going to get picked between
Right.
now and the Bills pick. It just sucks that it was the Chiefs and they came up and got it. But again, like, okay, you can look at it the other way. The Chiefs didn't go out and get a playmaker for offense on their offense to replace Tyreek Hill. They got a corner. I'm not worried about Trent McDuffie as a rookie slowing down a guy like Stephon Diggs in the playoffs or in the regular season. So for me, that's my spin zone and how I'm going to frame this one to make it not seem as bad for the Bills.
It's fair.
Yeah, it is getting wild here. The Packers pick is in, gentlemen. I'm looking at who's still on the board for the Bills. Brees Hall is a name that's starting to really stick out. George Pickens.
Do the Packers take a guy like George Pickens here? That's a popular name.
I've heard some rumblings. So Linderbaum is still available
too, though. Yeah.
Your boy Lettuce comes in and says, "I will splash the pot for McCreary whenever I darn well please." So we got a feud going. If you guys just want to keep feuding via super chat, go for it. We really appreciate that. Devontae Wyatt, Jermaine Johnson stick out there. Devin Lloyd, maybe the
Devontae
Patriots
Wyatt,
thing.
yeah.
They can get to Devin Lloyd later. Andrew Booth, Kyler Gordon, Kaiir Elam, Roger McCreary, Daxton Hill, Lewis Seen. I mean, would it shock you guys like if we just like went and nabbed like Linderbaum? Like, would that shock anyone?
A little bit.
For me, yeah, because he can't play guard.
There would be a meltdown on Twitter if we.
He's a phenomenal center. I love
really good.
The guy who everyone, Jordan Davis and Tyler Linderbaum, were the ones that everyone in November were losing their minds over. And
Didn't
now
PFF have him as their top rated center since they started grading centers or something like that? Like he was like their number one all-time center that they've graded.
He's phenomenal.
He good, but he definitely center only.
Guys, we got big news coming in.
Again?
Yeah, we got big news coming in.
Another trade?
Yeah.
Another trade?
Yeah. It's only hit the Twitter sphere, so I'm gonna hold it. But I need you guys to.
And the Packers with a shocker here
Draft
too.
is stupid. I want to go throw up. Whoa.
The Packers select Quay Walker.
Wow.
Yeah, that's big
from
big,
Georgia.
Yes.
You guys love Quay Walker. I'm glad I made the graphic.
It's upsetting that he's off the board, hoping that maybe he fell into the second round for the Bills, but like this ultimately helps the Bills in the case for cornerback.
Woo!
Oh, the Bills traded.
The Bills are on the clock. They jumped
wow.
Dallas. This has got to be they had to be for Jermaine Johnson, right? They see Jermaine Johnson.
Yo, if it's edge, like I said earlier.
Oh my God.
The Bills are on the clock, ladies and gentlemen. What? They have moved up 2 spots. My guess is it'll probably cost them a 4th rounder, maybe a 5th rounder.
I think I already have the compensation. It's for the 4th rounder. That's it. Yeah. It's just the 4th rounder.
This has got to be for Jermaine Johnson. Am I right?
I feel like to move
up
it is.
To just move up 2.
Like seriously, like this has got to be jumping Dallas. This has got to be for Jermaine, right?
I'm kind of losing it mentally right now. I'm not showing
Dallas
it, but I'm losing it.
doesn't need a cornerback, right? So I mean, maybe they were thinking they couldn't trust the leadership in Dallas not to take.
So close to McDuffie. I mean,
maybe that's somebody. I bet that could be it. Actually, Ant, you're right. That maybe they called Buffalo saying, "Hey, look, we've got an offer, and if you don't take it, somebody else is. And here's the team and what they offered."
Guys,
they're a cornerback.
On the ticker, it's going to say Buff via ball via era. This is double trade in this spot. It was originally Arizona's, then Baltimore's, now the Bills pick.
And the clock is still ticking. Are the Bills maybe moving up here with Jermaine Johnson on the board and then trying to double leverage it?
like a Kevin Costner move in draft day?
You know who the pick isn't? Anybody want to guess who the pick isn't?
Not Brees Hall. It's not.
Yeah, there's no way they're trading.
Thank you very much. Second round choice.
Really hope it's Booth though. I'm really hoping this is a trade up for Booth, but I don't know if that necessarily makes sense with the medical concerns.
Do you guys? I mean, as far as giving up the 4th rounder, how do you feel that's too steep to move up 2 spots, or do you feel okay?
It depends who they're taking. Yeah, it depends who they're taking.
I think that Ant hit the nail on the head, though, that this is, or what we kind of put together there, that this is clearly a situation where I don't know that jumping Dallas makes any sense with who the pick is. I think this
must have been Baltimore leveraging.
We have another trade offer for a 4th rounder, 10 picks after you or whatever.
Like from Kansas City or someone else.
Exactly. So maybe you need to jump.
And the Bills are still on the clock. My name is Jeff coming in saying the Bills are taking Linderbaum and trading Morse playing at Tennessee. Here's the issue with that. They just paid Mitch Morse, so they're going to eat a lot of money if they do that.
Also, I don't think Mitch Morse is really good.
Here. Yeah. I just don't know if that's a possibility here.
Forget that.
I'm trying my best to facilitate the show while also having a heart attack right now. So I need.
I know, we're all
Yeah,
going
I'm
off
not.
the
I'm not tipping this pick to myself. I've tipped
No.
every single pick
Mhm.
before this.
I'm about to
myself
pull.
via
Once
Twitter.
I see pick is in
I
on the
know.
thing, I'm pulling out my headphone.
How do I hide the chat? I'm going to some other. I'm going to banners right now.
Go to your private. Go to the
I'm
private.
not even
chat.
looking in the chat. Yeah, can't do it.
Oh man, I just don't understand. Yeah, it had to be a leverage deal. The Bills just got afraid. They didn't want to get leapfrogged for their guy, so they got leverage.
Don't look at the
into
comment
taking
section.
it.
So
All
they
right,
thought that
I'm going
either
to banners.
nobody say anything about the comments. I'm not even looking at the computer. But so nobody. So
Gotta stretch
do we?
it, do it.
I guess then you're thinking that the Bills thought somebody was going to trade with Baltimore or trade with Dallas and then take the guy that they wanted.
Mhm.
So they then were forced to move up and take this spot, and that's why they're
could see that.
taking their sweet
Yeah.
time right now because
it's
they
not gonna
weren't
be-
expecting to be on the clock,
If we're looking
but they
at
felt forced to.
With the Cowboys with Diggs and Kelvin Joseph, I don't see them taking a corner. So I don't think it's like, well, we have to jump Dallas for the corner that we want.
It's
It
not,
had
it's
to
not
have been
about
the-
Dallas. It's about
It's
another
about-
team that wanted that.
No, that's
pick.
what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying like process of elimination. It's not that a lot of the other trades we've seen, it was like, well, this team wants to, like the Eagles wanted to
Yeah.
jump Baltimore for
Pick
Jordan
is in.
Davis.
Pick is in.
Pick is in, boys.
This is what we've
I'm
been
taking,
waiting 3 months for.
I'm taking my headphone out. Actually,
know.
I don't want to do that because I think it's going to jinx what happened last year.
All right.
I don't know what to think. I genuinely just don't.
I
know
have a
what
feeling I'm
think.
going to be upset.
I have that feeling too. The second they traded up in front of Dallas, I got that feeling, and the fact that Jermaine Johnson is on the
Look.
board. Not to say he's a bad player, but I don't want an edge.
I am always of the feeling that whoever the Bills pick, I will be the biggest fan of and the biggest stand
Right.
for. That's the bottom line for me. I don't care who the pick is. That's going to be the bottom line, even if it were a certain position that shall not be named, but it's not going to happen.
Voldemort. Love it.
Oh man.
Gentlemen, the pick is
I'm
in
just feeling it. It's got to be.
right now. There's currently Jameson Williams and Jahan Dotson on my screen. The pick is in for the Buffalo Bills, and we will be reacting to it
Come on,
any
ESPN.
moment here.
Come on, ESPN. Let's go.
I know the pick, so I'm gonna.
taking my-
I can't believe you
You're-
did that to yourself, Judge.
did.
I know.
That's
Why would you turn
wild.
it off?
I mean, I understand you have to be prepared for the stream.
taking
I
my
had to be
headphone out.
prepared. I had to be
Yeah.
prepared for the stream, so I apologize.
yeah,
So I know the pick.
Don't say it.
I'm not gonna say
don't
it.
give
I'm gonna
any-
wait till
yeah.
Roger Goodell gets on.
Don't even
I'm
say
gonna wait till
anything
Roger
because I
Goodell-
feel like
showing-
you're. I feel like
Exactly,
I'm
yeah,
reading
don't-
into your attitude. I feel
They're
like I'm
not
reading
showing
into
Mel
your tone.
Kiper's big board, which is surprising to me, but I wanted to know which cornerback Mel Kiper has next
Mhm.
as
Yeah,
on
good
his
point.
big board.
Yeah.
You know, for who he thinks could be the pick for the Bills.
Interesting
Uh,
trading
package our 6 to try and get a 4th or something. I wonder if we try
Yeah,
to
we
get
have to
back
get
into
back
that
in
4th round.
With the later 6th and 7th
Yeah.
round picks, yeah.
Mhm.
Obviously, I don't think that's enough to get back into the 4th. But
Um, According to ESPN's best available, I'm assuming, which is Mel Kiper's
Right.
list, Andrew Booth is the top
Gents.
available corner.
Nobody,
Oh,
nobody
yeah.
even
just please.
All right,
don't-
I'm calling it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm calling it.
Don't announce it. I want to hear it from
I
you.
haven't seen Roger yet.
No, he's not.
I
Roger's on
see
the
Roger.
stage.
No, Rogers
Not
on
even
the screen.
coming out.
Rogers
All
on the
right,
screen.
yeah.
I want to see it for
Coming
the
out.
thing. Don't.
I know. I want to hear this here.
And the broadcast goes silent
Mother.
in anticipation.
Oh,
Let's go.
With the 23rd pick, the Buffalo Bills trade up for Florida cornerback Kaiir Elam. This has been the smoke all week, folks. And
it has.
sort of the
Uh-huh.
the tea leaves were this. Kaiir
Called it.
Elam had some very, very good tape a season ago, and he played through an injury this past season. If you look at a player like Kaiir Elam, he shut down a guy like Jameson Williams, even when he wasn't totally healthy, and he had some really good 2020 tape. So if you're a Bills fan, this is what you are excited about with this pick of Kaiir Elam. Kendall, I'm going to go to you, and then Ant, I'm going to go to you. Kendall, what are your thoughts on this pick here at 23?
All right, not technically in terms of his game, but just, philosophically. I'm happy it's a corner. I am. I truly am happy that the Bills picked a cornerback here. I would have picked Andrew Booth. Based on my film evaluation, I just liked what Booth did more than Elam. That being said, I did only watch the 2021 tape for both of them. So I did leave some of that sample size on the table. But I am very happy that the Bills ultimately got a cornerback. He's a dude with great athleticism. He projects to someone that can give them man coverage versatility, but he is going to need some work in zone. And he has proved that he's going to need some work in his willingness to come up and support the run. He's had an issue with missed tackles throughout his time in Florida, not just 2021, but also back to 2020. So that is something I think they will need to, I guess, mentally coach up with him, because I think he has the physicality to do it. But for whatever reason, you don't necessarily see that willingness all the time on tape. But he's got a lot of traits to work with. He's got a lot of positive traits to work with. And for that reason, I am hopeful for this pick. And Anthony, like you said, ultimately, this is the Buffalo Bills' #1 pick in this draft. I'm going to root for this guy. Is he my favorite pick out of all the corners available? No. But I'm going to root for this guy because he is now a Buffalo Bill.
And what are your thoughts on Kaiir Elam?
Well, I was super meh on his tape. I watched the 2020 and the 2021. I know how good his 2020 is. I've talked about him a lot on like a variety of the shows. Like there was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at Florida this year, and that manifested onto the field, and that led to some of the chaos and things. But I think this is another like traits over production move, kind of like what you saw with Travon Walker. You know, Elam is big. He's got some speed. I didn't think he played as fast as he times. I also didn't think he played as big as his like size or frame indicates. I thought he was grabby in coverage, especially at the top of routes. There's a lot of clips that people like to show, like the Jameson Williams footage against Bama. There was like a good amount of, oh, look how like Elam locked up Jameson Williams. And then it's like, that's going to be a flag in the NFL. He's grabbing him from like 4 yards all the way through the 10-yard hook. Like he's all over him. But again, you got traits. We've talked about it with what the Bills have gotten out of late or undrafted free agent corners and how they've squeezed blood from a stone. You don't have to squeeze that much blood from the Kaiir Elam stone. He's got traits. And I think, again, much like we talked about with Travon Walker, it's like they go to a team who the team says, listen, we've got this track record of developing this position. Now we've got a guy who has more physical tools and intangibles. So let's continue to add that to our process, add some polish to it, add some refinement. You know, he's got several of the traits and pieces you're looking for physically. And so now you hope that you can coach that up and get it up. For me personally, he was corner 7. I'm with Kendall. Like I like the philosophical move for a corner. I hope it works out, but there were several corners I would have taken ahead of him. But you know, we'll see. He's got all the tools that the Bills could coach up and get the best out of him. So potentially high ceiling, but a lower floor for me, which is why my ranking was what it was.
Your boy Lettuce comes in and says, would 100% rather have McCreary, more upset at giving up Ariza in the 4th for this, but he's now our boy. And here's our boy. And so now the hope is that the Buffalo Bills see this ball of clay in a guy like Kaiir Elam, who reports are that he had some of the best interviews at the combine with teams individually. So one of the things that you've sort of heard through the grapevine about Kaiir Elam was that he was some of the best at working on the whiteboard and walking through and talking through some things with teams. So that is something to also hold as a positive. For sure. Judge, can you take me?
That was good, right?
Can you take me, Kaiir? I like that one. It is a layup. I appreciate that one, John DeMarschi. I was before I talk, Dave, I'm gonna let you talk, and then Anthony, I'm gonna let you speak on it as well. So, Dave, what are your thoughts on this pick here?
Well, I mean, it was my prediction pick. I did say on the show Monday that was my prediction, although I did prefer Kyler Gordon. That was under the assumption that Andrew Booth was also going to be off the board. Now I'm being a little bit pedantic because I'm still very excited that they did address corner. And for a lot of the reasons that Ant said that, you know, he had concerns around the floor, I probably don't have as many of those concerns given the fact that he's going to the Bills, right? And the Bills have constantly sort of, I don't want to say they've devalued corner, but they've been able to coach up corners in their system to be productive for guys who are undrafted or late draft picks. So now you take a guy who has tools, like Ant said, and you put him in that Bills system with that coaching, then to me, that was what I was trying to say. And Ant and I agreed on this on the show that he came on with us a couple weeks ago. Is like pair that excellent coaching ability with a guy who's got tools, and you potentially have a home run. And I think that's what the Bills are doing here. Could they have taken a McCreary? Yes. Could they have taken a Booth? Yes. But it comes down to, like, is there like one or two small little preferences you have about a guy? Like, did he interview a little bit better than the other guys? Did he do this or that? To me, all these guys were in the same group, right? It was Stingley and Gardner at the top, and then these other 4, 5, 6 guys were kind of all in the same group for me. So I'm not so as worried about it. Obviously, Ant and Kendall have their concerns from what they've seen on the tape, but I'm confident that the Bills coaching staff could get the best out of Kaiir Elam.
That's fair.
Romeo, what do you think here?
I'm super pumped. I'm excited. So here was the thing about my pick was Booth. That was my prediction, and I stuck to it all along. Even though what I've been saying over the last couple of weeks is there are now emerging rumors about injury concerns with Booth and something about an injury history that came up. So he's going to be falling out of the first round. And if that happens, Elam was the guy that was the next target that I thought the Bills would go for. This move makes sense to me because of all the things that Dave just said. I absolutely trust McDermott and Bean when it comes to the defensive back room, especially McDermott, right? They brought in almost all of these cornerbacks for workouts and private one-on-ones and everything, right? They brought in every single one and made their decision based on what they saw, right? So they were able to bring them in and say, okay, what is it that you do that can help us? What is it that you do that we like? What is it about you that are your flaws that we feel we can coach up? What is it about your size? We know they love the measurements and the, RAS score and all that, those guys who are athletic or have traits that they value at a position. And I think Elam has those, right? So to me, the combination of Elam with McDermott and this defense is exactly what we want it to be. That he will be a Pro Bowl cornerback under this defense. I have no doubts about that. They would not pick this guy if they did not believe he could. And the one position that McDermott knows more than anything is cornerback. So I trust this decision absolutely. Do I think he's going to be definitely better than Booth or whoever else might be picked next that they passed up on? No, not necessarily. But that doesn't matter to me as much as what McDermott and Bean feel they can get out of this kid in Buffalo. And
the
that's
Buffalo endorsement.
We've got Dad of a Bills fan coming in with a super chat. Appreciate it. Says, good show, gentlemen. Looking forward to tomorrow. We had another super chat come in that I need to get to here. Chris M says, hey, the way the staff coaches up cornerbacks now, they have a guy with size and speed. I'll take it. Can't wait to see the Cover One film review that Kendall and Ant will be working on. Burning the midnight oil. And
look
and again, like I said, once the Bills make the pick, even though I know that this was a very divisive player, like I kind of probably like Gregory Rousseau was a divisive player last year for a lot of people. It's the second time the Bills have gone out and taken a divisive player, but much like Gregory Rousseau, and Ferris comes in and says, this reminds me of the Gregory Rousseau pick last year.
Yes.
Gregory Rousseau, before he opted out, was one of the premier pass rushers in college football. He was projected to be a top 10 pick. Kaiir Elam went into this season up there with Stingley. It wasn't Sauce and Stingley until the season got underway and Sauce started playing the way he did. Now, Sauce was making a name for himself, but it was Kaiir Elam who was that early 2022 mock draft cornerback. He was the guy going top 15. He was in the top 3 corners, etc. And then he played this season through an injury. And a lot of people, I think a lot of NFL personnel people, they now look at that and say, hey, in a draft class that's lacking some blue chippers, maybe we can steal a blue chipper in the 20s because this blue chipper was playing through an injury. If we can coach this guy up, he's got the athletic profile of a blue chip prospect. I was talking to one of my favorite followers on Twitter, Matt Alkiri. You could find him on Twitter at Matt Alkiri, Alkire. He told me yesterday, he sent me a DM. He said, listen, and this is a guy who, you go to his Twitter feed. He breaks down all 22. He's a really great follow if you like the draft. He's got an in with scouts and he knows scouts. And he's like, listen, when I did my mock draft, I texted 3 different scouts what cornerback best fits the Buffalo Bills and Leslie Frazier's defensive scheme. And what did all three of the scouts who are currently working for NFL teams tell him? Kaiir Elam. So he said, don't be surprised. I'm mocking Kaiir Elam to the Bills. He did. And he said, don't be surprised if the Buffalo Bills take Kaiir Elam. So great call by Matt there. And I think that's if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, this is an exciting pick because I think, again, this really is in that Gregory Rousseau mold. We had a couple of super chats come in. Reed Levine says, still kind of want Brees. Good show, boys. Hey,
Hey,
I
that's
think we
not
all
off the
want
table.
Brees.
It's
In
not off
round
the table.
2.
However,
the Ravens
off
were
the
sniffing
table,
around running back. The Ravens were sniffing around running backs, and they're on the clock here. By the way, Dallas took Tyler Smith off the board.
Yep.
So a promising young guy who will come in there, probably play guard, and then kick out to left tackle to replace Tyler Smith eventually. And then you got Alan Collins coming in saying, was hoping for more than punt god because punter really had some insane value at pick 23. So the punt god is still on the board. Don't you worry.
But this is going to make it harder for the Bills to try to trade up in the second round if there's another guy that they really like.
Right.
I think that's something we have to now wrap our heads around is that if you are on team like corner round 1 and potentially trade up to get a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker in round 2, that's going to be really tough now if you're the Bills. Like you're going to have to give up your second, your third probably, and that seems pretty rich for me to go up now in the second. So you're seeing it right there on the screen. The Bills gave up their fourth and for 2 spots again. So they really wanted Elam.
It could have been Baltimore calling up and saying, we're taking Kaiir Elam with this pick unless you give us a fourth.
But I'm just saying,
it could have been like that kind of mortgaging. Yeah,
it could have been that, but that tells me, like we were saying, if the Bills were staying at 25, they were going to take their guy and not trade down. That was their guy all along, and they didn't want to lose out on him. There was, even with Booth and Kyler Gordon and others on the board, that was the guy they wanted.
And I do.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say that I do trust that Bean will explain the trade up in full, right? Last year, we heard the Bills were ready to trade out from their second round pick. They had the trade deal signed, sealed, delivered, except if this one person was on the board. Yeah. And they told us exactly that. We had the pick traded, but we took it back because we got the one guy to fall to us. So I trust that Bean will explain what happened here. If a team called them and said, we're trading or whatever, and that was why we had to go up 2 spots.
I think up until today, you could have called it a coincidence. The best player on the board just happened to be a super young player. I think we can now start to call it a trend. Kaiir Elam is just 20 years old, plenty of room to coach him up, says Chris B. Sophia Leonardo comes in and says, what was Elam's injury? I'm just going to read you exactly what Matt told me in the DMs when I was having a conversation with him. He said he got banged up in the Alabama game. So when he was covering Jameson Williams and did a pretty darn good job at it. And he was supposed to sit out the rest of the season. He chose to play through it. Knee, groin, and something else. 2020, he was a monster. Now his run support wasn't great then either, but much better. So a guy like Kaiir Elam, that might have also been a selling point to the Buffalo Bills. Not only did this guy get hurt, he tanked his draft stock playing through an injury on a Florida team coached by Dan Mullen. That was an absolute sinking ship. So that might have been something else that really sold. And I apologize. You ended up coming with the super chat. I'm so sorry. I had just waiting a second to get to it. But yeah, it was Linderbaum to the Ravens here.
Great
another
pick.
Big pick.
Yep.
What an amazing first round for them. Kyle Hamilton and Tyler Linderbaum.
And a 4th round pick.
And
good call.
We got John DeMarchi coming in. He's saying, guys, your work and coverage has been outstanding for the past few months. What's your biggest surprise in round 1? Mine's Hollywood Brown. I know my brother-in-law just texted me like, hey, at least your team has a solid head on its shoulders. And we picked in their spot too. And we ended up picking in their spot too at 23. He was not happy with the pick. What was your guys' biggest surprise from the first round thus far?
Jermaine Johnson?
Yeah, still not gone.
I mean, still falling. That's wild to me. The way he tested, the way he played during the season, his tape, the way he played at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, I guess, sure, maybe we overhyped all of the climbing that he did on draft boards, but I feel like he's still falling a little too far. Maybe it could just be positional need. These teams in the back end just don't need an edge like the teams on the front end. So it could just be that. But
I think for me, it's Detroit trading with division rival Minnesota to move up as far as they did to take Jameson Williams. Like that was kind of a
That was
surprise.
shocking.
And I thought what they gave up was not a lot to honestly do that, considering they got pick 46 in return. So that with a division rival moving up to do that, and then obviously the Packers ended up taking Quay Walker. They didn't even take a receiver with the pick that they had. So that was an interesting move by Detroit. I think Detroit is having had a nice first round as well. Between having Aidan Hutchinson, the Michigan guy there for them at 2, and then trading up to get Jameson Williams. Like, I like what Detroit's done in this draft.
Now, the Jets are on the clock. Did
Yeah,
they make a
I
trade?
was just about to say, my surprise is that the Jets are on the clock in the first round again with a third first round pick. Hello. I have no idea what they're doing here.
Bean said that Kaiir Elam was the last first round grade on the Bills board, so he got aggressive and moved up.
Okay.
Sounds like him. He always talks about how he has no patience.
I think that also goes to the fact that I think that they looked at that 2020 tape and they said to themselves, that's a first round corner, right? So not a lot of people based on the 2021 tape probably thought that Kaiir Elam was a first round corner, but the Buffalo Bills looked at a guy who was 20 years old, played through an injury. The tape previous, he should have been a top 15 pick, much like Greg Rousseau. So I think a lot of things are sort of lining up here. And this is really not something that should have been surprising, but also surprising. That was his last first round grade, which means Jermaine Johnson was not a first round grade for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Everybody grades differently.
Everybody grades differently. Andrew Booth
Jr.,
Jr., not a first round grade for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Now he could have been not a first round grade because of medical, right? He could have been a guy who was a first round grade, but they took him off their board completely. Like that could be a guy who, after he came to Buffalo, the doctors looked at his knee and they said, yeah, this is no bueno. Like we talked to the Clemson guys, he can't stay on the field or, he can't practice, etc. And they could have just taken him right off that board. GC coming to the super chat that we missed. I apologize. GC says, great show tonight, guys. Thank you so much, GC. We really appreciate it. Thank you guys for sticking with us. As the Jets are on the clock here now, Lamar is not happy. He is taken to Twitter.
Wait, so did the Jets trade with who did the Jets trade with?
The Titans. I don't even know how the Titans had this pick.
Rusher,
right? We're getting to the point where I have no idea how the Titans were on the clock.
By the way, the ticker ran out of character, so I'm just going from pick 15 on now. Just
and
so
the Jets,
knows.
The Jets pick is in, and we're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, I think they. I mean, my guess here has got to be pass rusher, right? That's with the
Jets.
board the way it's fallen. Come on, I mean, I had him going in like the top 12.
Yeah, we're at the point here where we're going to talk about the Jets Hall in a second because it's scary good.
Are winning the draft without a doubt.
a couple of super chats coming in. James Barrett Jr. says, I'm all for coaching players up, but has anyone figured out who's going to coach up McDermott and Frazier for the games that matter most in the playoffs? I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone up to that task.
They're coaching up themselves. Everyone's losing from losses in the facility.
You don't lose, you learn, says Jordan Poyer.
Yep.
Who I think got that from Sean McDermott. Actually, I think they got that from Emmanuel Sanders. I've always said that Emmanuel Sanders was cancer. I've always said it. I'm just kidding. Chris M coming in saying Elam's father and uncle both played safety in the NFL. His uncle moved to the CFL after 3 years, 7 years in the NFL for multiple teams for his father. So again, he's got that pedigree as well. So the Jets pick is in, and Kaiir Elam 4.39 speed. So hey, for you speed people out there, you got your player. The Jets pick is in. I'm done with the ticker or the noise here for the night. They've taken Jermaine Johnson off the board from Florida State. So the Jets haul in this draft is Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, and Jermaine Johnson. Wow. They had those 3 boxes and they checked 3 boxes. They now have a guy who could develop into a shutdown corner, a boundary corner, a pass rusher to go with Carl Lawson that's Robert Saleh's defense is literally built upon getting to the quarterback. He had guys like Bosa in San Francisco. And then you have Garrett Wilson coming off the board as well, Wilson to Wilson connection. So the Jets are having a very good draft. But here's the thing.
Very good draft.
It's a good draft, but we've seen good drafts on paper before.
Yeah, paper doesn't win.
Have they built the culture? Do they have the staff, et cetera, to take what they've done on the draft in the draft and
Tennessee having an awful draft, by the way.
I don't know what's going on.
Traded out of that pick. Traded AJ Brown, got Treylon Burks. Like
Jacksonville's on the clock.
Yeah, Treylon Burks at 18.
Jacksonville's on the clock. There's another trade. My head hurts. My head hurts. So Jacksonville is now on the clock. There's been another trade. We apologize for maybe not being a little bit more structured with this.
Well, the Bills
I honestly don't know who's picking or why at this point anymore, but the Jaguars are on the clock.
I'm trying to keep up with this on the ticker. Traded
Whose
with
pick
Tampa.
was it?
Tampa Bay's.
Any thoughts on where Jacksonville goes here? They took who at number 1? Walker.
This could be a safety. I think this could definitely be a
Dax
safety.
Hill.
Yeah.
Lewis Seen. Lewis Seen seems like a Jacksonville kind of guy.
I could see
I'm
that.
maybe going for like
I've
a
seen
Devontae
that.
Wyatt here. Like, I mean, he's kind of fallen, or
Yeah.
or a Devin Lloyd. Like, I don't know, right? Like they've invested heavy in pass
They
rush.
just
right,
trade Miles Jack. Linebacker
so,
makes
like,
some sense.
Part of me is like wondering why they even drafted Travon Walker, because they invested in Chason and Josh Allen, the pass rusher. So now they have like 3 pass rushers. So okay, fine.
Wow.
But like you got to add some other elements to this defense if you're Jacksonville.
John Calvin comes in and says cornerback was a need, not the best player available. LOL.
Both.
That would be of your opinion and of other people's opinions. As Ant mentioned, Brandon Beane came out, did maybe like a little bit of a press conference, and he said this was the last first round grade on our board.
So he got it.
So according to the Buffalo Bills, he was the best player on the board for them. He was the last
and
one.
it met need.
And it met need.
Right. It's just a bonus that it was both. Check.
So
both
could
boxes.
he be full of it? Maybe. I don't know, but I don't think so.
I
Brandon Beane's usually
wouldn't. I don't
pretty,
think he's going to lie about
He's
that.
usually pretty
true.
truthful post draft.
So Sauce Gardner is now on the screen. Jermaine Johnson was just introduced. The Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock. Nothing makes sense anymore. I'm going to spend at least 45 minutes after this show is over just trying to wrap my head around everything that's happened over the past. Like
the Dallas pick was a little shocking. We kind of missed that one.
Yeah,
We
Tyler
did.
Smith.
I didn't love that either.
That was. I was like, what? Dallas being Dallas, huh? Like,
Joe
okay.
Marino is a big fan of Tyler Smith. Russ is a huge fan of Tyler Smith. That's a guy I think is plug and play at left guard where Connor Williams was, and with the ability to kick out and play.
I've had him as a top
Tyler
25
Smith.
prospect in the.
I mean, it's hard not to like his tape. When you see someone finishing dudes on tape like that, it's hard not to just fall in love with it. But there's still a lot of technical refinement to be done. That being said, it is the tail end of the first round.
Ombre Lob coming. I can't even talk anymore. Ombre Lob coming in saying the NFL is the new NBA with all of these trades. He's not wrong. It used to be in football. You were afraid to make trades and everything because it would take guys a long time to gel.
Picks only, right? It was usually picks only. There wasn't a lot.
We got all of it now. We got player trades. We got pick trades.
I can't wait for the Buffalo Bills embedded.
This
is going to be fun.
Facts.
So it was the last first round grade on the board. The Bills picked a 23. Who knows? There could have been. My guess is he probably had somewhere between 18 and 22, 18 and 23 first round grades. So,
well, you never know. It's all dependent on the other team's boards too. You know, other teams could have taken players that the Bills had as second round grades.
And that's all too. It's all like the scheme fit piece. Like I even think like tying it back to Kaiir Elam, right? Just using him as the example. I mean, one, where we cover the Bills, but two, just use it's like a readily made example. Like you've got people for teams where, like, and linebacker is a good example too. Like if the Bills had to take a linebacker, for me, like Nakobe Dean is the best linebacker in this draft. But if I'm the Bills, Devin Lloyd is the linebacker. I would take Devin Lloyd with the pick because he's a better fit schematically from a scheme fit and a skill set and a traits perspective. So everything's always, I feel like that gets lost in things. Like someone could be legitimately like the better football player, but if their traits don't plug into the system you have, you're setting that player up for failure. Go all the way back to when the Eagles signed Nnamdi Asomugha, who was like one of the best cover corner. Yes, the dream team. Nnamdi was fantastic in man coverage in Oakland. That's all they did. And then the Eagles got him and were like, we're going to play zone and you're just going to be zone. And then he was like, but I don't do that. Like I do man. And they're like, doesn't matter. You're going to do zone. And he was bad. And the dream team thing fell apart. Like that scheme fit piece is, and I think we're going to see even more of that come second and third round. That's where you start to get those, whoa, I can't believe this guy went and not this other guy at that position. And it's like, well, that other guy may have been the better player, but from a fit perspective, this guy's better. And I think that's where Elam's really intriguing because the traits over production piece, you put him in that system with his traits. Like that's a potential high upside thing. And you get that with a lot of teams and all their picks from this point on.
We got Gregory Tom Sulu coming in saying you guys are great. Thank you for all your work. Go Bills. We appreciate that. We really appreciate that super chat, Gregory.
Actually,
And
it's taken a while, is it not?
yeah, it's taking a while. They got to get the Rogaine commercials in. I'm at the point where I might need some Rogaine by the end of this round. And I have a question for you. Nakobe Dean is a guy who I think might not even be on the Bills board, period, because of the fit. Or same with Leo Chenal from Wisconsin.
I love these.
But my thing is like if Nakobe Dean slipped into the 4th round, like craziness. At some point, even if a guy doesn't fit your scheme, is he such a talented football player that you draft him anyway? Like, do you get to that point, or do you just pass on him every round?
For me, in a example like that, like granted that may be skewed towards the extreme, yeah, because I think like the talent, there's so many other things that you can like about that player.
Yeah.
And if there is a certain point to like your question here, there's a certain threshold that gets reached where it's like, well, the guy has other strengths and the value is too good. So why not? Like, let's pull the trigger. If you're making it earlier on and it becomes a position of like, hey, we have to fit this guy into a starting spot, or the return on investment needs to be higher. I think that's when you start to question more. But yeah, at a certain point, the value just becomes like, well, this guy's just a really good football player. Let's figure it out because we're late, and why not? But yeah, I think you eventually, and it's going to be different for every team. But yeah, I think there are very legitimate thresholds where it just becomes like, well, this dude's just a good football player, so screw it.
Yeah,
we're
2
gonna
words for that one. Jake Fromm, right? That's they drafted Jake Fromm because they were like, we just thought he was the best player on the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, there could be a point in this draft where like Carson Strong is sitting there in the 5th round of the Buffalo Bills.
Or Malik
Willis.
Nakobe Dean, though, is like one of my favorite players in the draft. You don't think he's a fit for Buffalo? Who said that? I don't know.
Nakobe
Dean. Yeah. I mean, I love his tape. I love his play.
So does
He's
right, but his play is everything he like. I love him too. He's my linebacker one, but he's correct. What is he best at? Man covering running backs and tight ends coming out of the backfield, blitzing, constantly coming forward, a bullet. He doesn't have a ton of granted, you could say like, well, I think he could translate and pattern match well, but you don't see a lot of it on tape. He's more of a spot drop zone guy. And the Bills don't blitz their linebackers a lot. Like, he's someone who I don't think if the Bills took him, he's a great leader. He's a great character guy. He's so intelligent. He plays fast because he is fast, but he processes at an unreal rate. Everything that he sees in front of him, it's bang, and he's there. But I don't know if the Bills system would take full advantage of his skill sets. Like, you're not going to really see like Nakobe Dean blitzing and running stunts and man covering all these backs. You need to see more pattern matching and zone, which is what Devin Lloyd does. But yeah, to your point,
speaking of Devin Lloyd,
just got picked by the Jaguars.
There you go, Devin Lloyd. But yeah, that's where that scheme fit piece comes in. I loved Dean's tape. We studied him for the film room, along with Quay Walker and a couple other dudes, and he's so fun to watch. He's awesome. But I felt like he would almost be like not a waste of talent, but he wouldn't be able to play to his strengths fully in the Bills scheme.
The way I've put it is he's leaving skills on the table in the Bills scheme. Like, that blitzing thing is a huge part of his game, and you leave that on the table in the Bills scheme because the Bills just don't blitz their linebackers.
Jacksonville jumped the Patriots for.
Yeah, I love that. I love that they just took Devin Lloyd.
Thank you, Jacksonville. You've earned a fan
for
here.
Jacksonville.
Trent Baalke, I'm sorry.
Duval.
Trent Baalke, I'm sorry. I've ever said anything bad about you.
He really helps with what they need. Like, he can rush from the outside, Devin Lloyd. Like, you just get a whole versatile piece for that Jacksonville defense like needs a lot of stuff.
And I'm going to throw up Kaiir Elam's RAS because a couple people are asking for his athletic testing numbers. He was an 8.64 RAS. His composite size grade was good. 6'1", 191 pounds. Only 10 on the bench. A little weak in the arms. Needs to get into that strength room. 30.8-inch arms. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that. 8-inch hands. His vertical was all right with a 37.5. 40-yard dash time of 4.39, but some concerning splits. A weak 10-yard split is just good. Decent shuttle time and composite agility grade. So a good athletic profile for Kaiir Elam here. And 30.8-inch arms. What do you arm guys? Kendall, I'll start with you. You're an arm guy. Clearly you bench. Probably bench more than Kaiir Elam. So what are your thoughts on the arm length of Kaiir Elam? 30.8.
To be fair, that actually is tough when someone has shorter arms for their position and also doesn't do well on the bench press. That never bodes well for you. That's not good, but His arm length is fine. Everyone talks about that threshold being at like 30 or 31. If it's 31, it's a quarter of an inch shy of your threshold. Like, is a quarter of an inch really making you red flag a dude? Like, you look at Dane Jackson, he's a half inch shorter than where Kaiir Elam is, and no one bats an eye at that. But obviously, he's a 7th round pick, so that could be why no one's batting an eye at it. He's got the same arm length as Travon Johnson. I mean, he's slightly below the archetype for the Buffalo Bills, which is 31.5 inches. But like I said, that's 3/4 of an inch. That's what you're batting an eye at, 3/4 of an inch. And it's already still long arms. I consider 30-inch arms to be pretty long. I mean, granted, I'm standing over here with 28-inch arms. But either way, I mean, his tape, he's got the athleticism to make up for a quarter of an inch, guys. Like, it's a quarter of an inch that we're talking about here.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the Packers pick yet, but Packers fans are not happy. So my guess is they went defense again. So hey, Aaron Rodgers got his money. That's all he cares about. He didn't care about winning football games. He didn't care about the people of Green Bay. He cared about his bag.
I just thought of something. What if like we got the double dip last year at edge? What if the Bills double dip at
cornerback?
Wouldn't hate it.
Kyler Gordon trade up in the 2nd round because he's a little versatile, positionless defense.
Right? That'd be wild. I don't know why. I think somebody in the chat said
trade Trey White.
Somebody commented.
That was a joke.
That'd be wild. Somebody
CTB
commented.
in the second.
Pops
the
Mafia.
Packers don't look very happy with their pick on ESPN. They showed the
Pops
Packers
Mafia pulled up that quote from Bean. If there's a really good corner in the 2nd round tomorrow, we will take him if he's the best on the board.
Brandon Bean gives no F's. He gives no F's about anything.
I always
he trusts his board, and that is it. He trusts the staff who builds the board, and that board.
Hey,
is
they're going to double edge.
Listen,
we shouldn't be surprised if they double.
And here's another reason why maybe they passed on it. Well, obviously they revealed that they had the 1st round grade, but what should have been interesting was what was the report that came out today? The Giants really liked Kaiir Elam. Joe Shane is now with the Giants. So at the top of round 2 at pick 36, you had a team that was going to take Kaiir Elam off the board, most likely, before you ever had a chance. A guy like Marcus Jones in the 3rd round, with that kick and punt return ability, not having to be counted on so much as a corner. He could be your CB4. He could return kicks and punts for you. He could flip the field. Oh, I would love a Marcus Jones.
I love how everyone's getting excited for Booth to fall to 57 with the medical concerns, and we're all ready to get hurt again. Everyone's ready to get hurt again.
Let's go. I mean, he already did prove this last year, and that was my argument when Ant and I were doing the coverage last year. Was the best thing about double dipping is you get 2 chances, right?
Yep.
If only one of them becomes a star and the other guy's a dud, nobody cares. They're only thinking about the star. Nobody will remember who you picked in the 1st round if your 2nd round guy is a starter stud for 10 years in the NFL or whatever. Same vice versa. If you pick the 2nd guy and he's a dud, the 1st guy becomes a star, you win. It's a win-win situation for your team, for you as what people think long term. They're not going to say, wow, he picked a bust of a cornerback. They're going to say, wow, he's got 3 starting stars on his defense that he drafted, right? And that's what really matters in the end. And you're right, Bean trusts his board and trusts what he says. He always tells the truth. I say that all the time.
Here's Matt Perino tweeting, Brandon Bean said Breece Hall reports didn't come inside the Bills building. He said he doesn't put out smoke screens. He said he doesn't lie either. Doesn't seem like there's any validity.
There you go.
But I also think there's a little BS to that.
I think there is.
He never reveals more than he should.
Yes.
I will say that. But
That's
he always tells the truth. Just like the
Well,
other
yeah,
day
what
when
he
asked
says
about, are you interested in a defensive back? What do you mean? Safety?
Yeah, he's
corner?
never disingenuous. He will reveal what he's comfortable revealing, but he will never go further.
Some other gems here. Again, this is a tweet from Matt Perino. Brandon Bean said that when Kaiir Elam was in on his top 30 visit, he was at lunch and asked questions like, what has Trey White done to be so good? And what do you see in my game that you like and what I need to get better at? Bean said that he's devoted to becoming great. So again,
love it.
These top 30 visits are important. If we had those quotes before the draft, I don't think anyone would have questioned.
No, that's like amazing. Like that's processing culture all over. That's like, he's a Bill.
That tells me he did his homework before going into
And
that.
Kaiir,
You know what they want to hear? This.
I want, for anyone who's watching Cover One and Cover One only, I want you to think about Stephon Gilmore's reaction when he was drafted, and then think the exact opposite of that, and that was Kaiir Elam's reaction when he got drafted to the Buffalo Bills. Stand up, use those little noodle arms and only can bench 10 to do a nice little flex, and he put a Bills hat on, and half of his family already got Bills caps on within 30 seconds.
You're already slamming him.
He's not Breece Hall.
Damn right he's not a second round pick at 25.
Funny. You're already slamming our first round pick.
I know,
Is
right?
the Green Bay pick
joke.
in yet? Like, what's
Joke.
going on with that? Like,
This is
It's
taking a
Devontae.
while.
It's Devontae Wyatt. Andrew Whitworth's just retiring all over again. It's
I was gonna
Devontae
say,
Wyatt.
why is he even on the screen?
Yeah, the pick was Devontae Wyatt, by the way. So Packers are about to take Devontae Wyatt here.
That's interesting.
Oh, I liked Wyatt.
So 2 Georgia guys, Devontae Wyatt and
Yes.
Quay Walker.
Wyatt off the board. I
And
had
Jordan
him going
Davis.
round one.
Oh, duh. I mean, to Green Bay. Quay Walker is an interesting one, right? He's the first
Yeah,
linebacker
it
off
was
the
shocking.
board.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That
crept
was
up.
shocking.
Yeah, I mean, but
Very
he's another guy who is I think he had good enough production, but he's another traits over production guy. The size,
Yeah.
the frame, the skill set, the attitude. And I mean attitude like in how he plays, like the tenacity around the line of scrimmage, the way he hits and flows in open field. He's got some pattern matching ability. But I didn't think he was going to be linebacker 1, like especially with how people like Devin Lloyd. Like I thought Devin Lloyd was going to be linebacker 1. It's crazy they had Quay as first, and he went over. Isn't that like wild? Like when you think about translate the game, how players' games translate to the NFL. Kobe Dean was arguably like one of the 5 best players in college football the entire past year and was like amazing for Georgia's defense. Granted, they had a bunch of guys that were like that. And he's not even the first linebacker that goes in the NFL draft.
God.
Like,
Judge, I know you just saw that. Just wait for Ant to finish.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
I can't. You can't tip.
Yeah,
What
you
happened?
can't tip this. The Pats are about to pick.
Are we going to like it or hate it?
By chance in the chat, I see you like kind of alluding towards the tip. Don't spill it. Don't spill the beans.
I got the.
it makes total sense for them.
Ready.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for them.
Tilt,
Go ahead.
Did you have a graphic? Tilt, did you have a graphic for this?
No.
There's
I
no
don't.
chance. There's no chance.
This is a
I did
Patriots
not
guy
have a
through. Patriots guy through and through, though. When this pick does come out, the Patriots pick is in.
I have not seen the pick yet, but I'm loving the reaction. I'm absolutely loving this reaction.
It's one of my favorite players in this draft. I mean, honestly, but
Yeah, I like the player a lot
Yeah,
too.
the player
and it
is
makes
great.
sense, like for the team. But who?
Well,
Yeah,
now I'm
no
just
What if
graphic,
they-
no graphic for this.
What
guy.
have they picked up in terms of
trading
monetary value with they've got multiple trade backs now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait.
Oh no, one.
Just one.
Just one.
I think so. Just the one.
It's hard to keep
Did you
track
trade
of.
back twice?
Are they going to commercial? Is that a fault?
It got
they're going to
wild
this
in there.
stage. All right. I'm gonna put the pick is in graphic when the pick comes. I'm not gonna put the graphic out because we have no graphic for this guy, but I will go back to this deserves a chime. This pick from the Patriots deserves a chime. Are they really going to commercial?
Yeah,
They have to squeeze the time. They're too fast on time.
I know
Yeah,
they're like we're
they
supposed to go to
did that.
midnight. It's only
Exactly.
11:15. There's
They have
picks
to. They
left.
have to fulfill their commercial contractual obligations. Like they have to stall.
Meet that quota, baby.
That's awful.
Well,
Hey, man.
so they
It's
stall.
this,
We stall.
Not
Wait,
as
but
not as
you have to
awful as
meet-
letting
I
the
love
guy
it because
They have to meet their commercial course. It's past 11 p.m. Eastern time. Like what?
I think
This
this
is-
is
Yeah.
I don't even know the pick yet, but I love this because this was my biggest prediction was that the Patriots are going to Patriot and continue to suck in the draft, right? So I hope that I don't know who this pick is, but you guys are shocked in a way that, okay, maybe this guy shouldn't have gone in the first round. And already I'm excited for that because that alone tells me that Bill Belichick is doing his Bill Belichick
Do you
thing
think?
where his
Bill
big head
Belichick
thinks he's
is
better than the
not
rest of the world.
a good
Question.
He's not.
drafter.
He's never
No.
been good
No,
at the
he
draft.
hasn't
So I
been good.
joked last night, oh, who's the best kicker? Let him take another kicker. In
Do
the
you
first
think?
round
Well,
this time.
my question is like, did they jump Cincinnati for this guy?
That's fair. That's actually a fair thought, but I feel
Mhm.
like that's still a surprise. Either way, where this guy is going to
No.
shock people.
Yeah, I looked it up too. I didn't think he was going to go first round.
I think
Third,
second
fourth,
round
maybe.
is like second round
Can we
is
just tip
okay.
it
You're
at this
betting
point?
on his
Greg just
athleticism.
put it in the cover one chat, so I did see the name.
Can we just? Are we at the point where we're coming
Just
to the end of the first
announce
round?
it. We're
We
all,
can tip it?
we're all
All right.
mentally and emotionally exhausted.
the 29th pick of the 2022 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Cole Strange, interior offensive lineman, Tennessee Chattanooga. It is Senior Bowl. He blew up. He is a very Patriots type of offensive lineman. Raz King. I mean, I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked by it, right? Like any other team, I think I would be shocked.
I almost went 100% on graphics in the first
You almost
round.
went 100%
The
on
Patriots
graphics.
had to fuck me with that.
Of course, it was the Patriots.
Hey, I went this whole show without swearing, and Dave just dropped the first F-bomb.
How
Is
dare
that
you?
really the first?
Yes.
I really want to
I
know
held my
if-
tongue.
with everything that Bean has said that we're hearing from the presser. I really want to know if he had a first round grade on McDuffie. Like if McDuffie and Elam were both there, I wonder what the pick was. I think it was still going to be Elam, but I'm curious.
We're never gonna know, but
No, we
Yeah.
never know.
What's that horror
I'm
movie?
very
I'll
curious.
never tell. Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
that's
get
a good
to
one.
this,
Strange
Oh,
indeed.
my
What's that-
friends
what's that
are
I'll
Pats
never tell
fans, they're
from?
not going to be happy.
Yeah, what is that from? It's gonna bug me.
I'll never
Ring?
tell. No, isn't it that movie with she passed away in real life. That actress. Isn't Robert De Niro?
Brittany Murphy.
in it?
Brittany Murphy.
Yeah, Brittany Murphy. Yes.
No, I don't know. Anyone got it in the chat? Anyone
Oh,
got it in the chat?
I love where we're going now.
I know, right? We're just horror movies tonight now. Who's drafting their
It's a Children of the
favorite-
Corn. It wasn't Children of the Corn. Someone Google. I'll never tell.
We're making
Yeah, Andre Love says-
650 people watch what we're talking about.
The Patriots. We're still waiting for the Patriots pick to officially be Cole
Officially.
Strange here, and that leaves Kansas City on the clock. Do we get my Calvin Austin? Maybe, who knows with Kansas City. But there's
Don't
there's
say
still
a
some names
word.
on the board. Don't say a
Sorry.
word. There we go.
that's the movie. We got
Someone came and said, "Girl interrupted."
it. It's not girl interrupted.
We're getting off the rails. here at the
Everything's
end
going
of
off the rails.
I stopped doing my board here. I gotta take some names off. Let's see. Andrew Booth still there.
I'm genuinely curious who these last three picks are, and it's looking like Malik Willis is just gonna. Oh wait, no, the Lions don't have 32 anymore.
No, the Vikings do. Do
Yeah,
the
the
Vikings
Vikings.
take a quarterback?
No.
No, they took Kellen Mond last year. Not to say that that's gonna stop you from taking a quarterback, but like they took Kellen Mond last year.
I like Kellen Mond.
New GM.
Oh, that wasn't his guy.
Your boy Lettuce says GM Bill is draft against Kraft. He's gonna retire.
I love that. I hope he does. He's just
Yeah.
like,
Sabotaging him.
I'm looking at the draft board. Malik Willis has not been taken yet. Brees Hall has not been taken yet. I'm just going down the line I have here. George Pickens has not been taken yet. The safeties:
Andrew
Dax
Booth,
Hill, Lewis
yeah.
Seen, Andrew
Yeah.
Booth, Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon, I think, is the biggest shock to me at this point. Him and George Karlaftis are the two big shocks. I was
George Karlaftis,
convinced.
yeah.
I was
had him
convinced
going.
Kyler was going to go in round one. He still might. Cincinnati, Minnesota could both.
He's
use
in the green
corners
room.
here.
I thought
Yeah.
Raymond might sneak into round one. Bernhard Raymond thought he
I
could
thought
be.
Zach Tom. I thought
Everybody
Zach
does
Tom
love
would-
Raymond.
What if the Patriots would have taken Zach Tom? How would you?
That would have
Oh
been
my
really
God.
funny.
and we
Wow.
would
Wait,
have had the
who's
graphic
in-
ready.
Who are people that are waiting in the green room now? Corral, Gordon,
Corral,
Karlaftis.
Gordon.
Karlaftis.
He's there. Oh, he is there, huh?
Right? Is
I
he?
think-
I think
isn't-
Karlaftis.
is the-
Can I say something mean? Karlaftis is an ugly dude.
How
He's not
dare
a
you.
pretty man.
That ain't
He's
gonna
not a
stop
pretty man.
anybody from drafting him. I'll say that.
Oh,
Yes.
never mind. The Chiefs took Karlaftis.
The Chiefs just take George Karlaftis off the board. So,
Well, I
Uh,
guess
hey, that
Ooh,
was
you
that
can-
pick kind of came out of
Poking
nowhere.
into it. You did it again, Ant. You said his name
I'm-
and he's still on the board.
I wish that would have.
Look at him. He's not a good-looking man. I'm being real.
Tell that to his face. Like,
No.
in-
No. So, have you guys heard the story of George Karlaftis where he literally he got an apartment as close as humanly possible to the Purdue gym because he just lives in the gym. He's like, yeah,
That
I live in
doesn't
the
shock
gym.
me. Does
So
not
he
shock
literally
me.
got his on-campus apartment as close to the gym as possible.
Wow.
And people say he literally just lives in there. So
Makes
that's
sense.
Justin Smith reincarnated with George Karlaftis. This is a good get for the Chiefs. I mean, he's a
Yeah,
guy
it is.
who
It's a
he's
good
a guy who could really bully some of these Buffalo Bills offensive linemen. But the question is, once he gets into the backfield, he's a little stiff. A guy like Josh Allen is the kind of guy who might be able to maneuver around a defensive end like George Karlaftis. I don't know. Do any of you guys have any thoughts on Karlaftis' game? How he fits into this? Honestly, like, how does he fit into this Cincinnati system?
He's on
Kansas
Chiefs,
City.
buddy.
So I'm sorry.
Kansas
What did I say?
Wow,
Hey, it's late. Don't worry. You
Cincinnati's
said
on the clock.
Cincinnati.
Their pick is
Their
in.
pick
by
is
the way.
in.
TDN. I did a little analysis on the draft risers and fallers from about 2 months ago, and so TDN Draft Network had George Karlaftis as their eighth ranked overall prospect on February 18th, and as of this week, they had him all the way down to 27. So I'm not sure why they
Is that
dropped
their
him.
Is that their projected board or
No,
is
this is
that
their
actual board?
prospect ranking.
How does
board.
it happen? How does that
I don't know.
happen?
It must
I
just be
don't know.
other guys jumping up above him. I don't think he did anything in particular to fall.
Right.
I
That's
think
a
this
good
is
point.
just a case where there were
Yeah.
other players who now are rising, and he was one of
Yeah.
the casualties of that, if you will.
Yeah,
He's,
like the biggest risers in the first for them at least were Jermaine Johnson jumped from 29th to 8th.
Mhm.
Zion Johnson jumped from 32nd to 22nd. Drake London jumped from 27th to 19th. So they had some guys jump up pretty far.
Karlaftis has he doesn't have ideal speed or burst or twitch or bend. Like he doesn't have those high upside, sexy
AJ Epinesa college tape.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but he's more of a force.
He's not the technical guy.
He's
Dave,
violent. Like his hands
Yeah,
are like hammers, and he just gets into you and is just he's violent at the point of attack. He's a good run setting edge, but he's not sexy. I think the upside.
We're gonna have to go back and we're gonna have to watch the tape because I'm pretty sure I said effing noodle arms. So
Oh,
we're gonna have to
This
go back
is
and check the
a
tape. on
great
this one.
poll if James got that though.
Yeah, I'm 95% sure I said effing.
you
So-
probably
Dr.
did.
Cold Strength.
Doctor.
I'm in the multiverse of madness.
That's
Oh,
great,
John.
You
John.
can tell we are 3.5 hours into this.
I
John
love that
stays
reference.
winning.
That is
Guys, think about
amazing.
this.
Yes,
It's
John, that is
11:25.
beautiful.
If we had Pickett stayed at 25 and draft had gone according to past 3 years, we would have just been picking 5 minutes ago.
I know.
That's why the NFL is trying to have Andrew
would've been a
Whitworth speak
commercial.
for another 10
Yeah, they're like,
hours
come
so they
on, we're
can
not
relate.
making money on this.
Let's just start the second round. Let's go. I'm ready. Let's start the second round.
That's what they should have done.
Throw
You know,
it
they
in.
should just go however long it takes and then stop. No,
here's
that would probably be a competitive disadvantage.
Here's a talking point since we were down to the last few minutes here. We traded our 4th round pick to go ensure that we get Kaiir Elam.
Yeah.
Does that affect our ability? That affects our ability to trade up in round 2.
Yes.
Anyone have any
I
thoughts? I
mentioned
want to
that-
chime in here too.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier, right? If you were a corner fan round 1 and a trade up to get running back maybe in round 2, or vice versa, if you wanted to take a running back in round 1 and trade up to get a corner in round 2, you now are in a tough position. Yes, you do have the 2-6, but you're probably not trading up in the second round at this point. If you're going to move up, it's probably going to be maybe to get a 4th round pick back somewhere. Maybe if you trade a couple 6th and a 5th to get back into the 4th round, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bean still tries to find a way to come out of this draft with maybe only 6 picks. He's still got the 2-6 sitting there, and you can maybe move up early day 3. But I think the thoughts of moving up again in day 2, I mean, if you're moving up in the second round now, it's going to cost you your 3rd round pick this year and possibly more, right? So I just don't see that happening now for the Bills. I don't see a trade up in round 2 specifically.
I think
do
2023 picks come into play now.
That's a good point too. You could trade a 2023 4th
I
round
hate
pick.
trading future picks.
But
Same.
I agree, and I do think they could do something very similar to what they did tonight, right? Your guy is still on the board 5 picks ahead. That's not going to cost you a 3rd round pick. That might cost you, a 5th and a 6th maybe, or whatever you can put together that somebody that would convince that team, to trade down with you. If they're willing to trade down, they get something for free and probably still get the guy they're targeting. But I'm calling this a win all around because I have been consistently saying from the beginning, as much as Breece Hall is the number 1 running back on the board, he's not going in the 1st round. How many picks are left here? 2. I don't think either one of these teams is going to pick Breece Hall or a running back for that matter, which means the top 3 running backs are all still available in round 2. And I've been saying all along that the Bills could stay in their position and still get Breece Hall. And I believe that still. if they really want him, they can still get him right where he should be picked, which is in the second round at 57. There is lots of other talent in round 2 that I like. And trust me, I'm not a running back guy. So I'd like the running back way later than round 2. But if they like him, they could get him. And if he's still on the board a couple of picks ahead, they will find a way, if he really is their guy, to go up and get him.
Ned Ryerson comes in. Always appreciate you, Ned. He says, excellent show. Hit the like. Tune in for the second. I wouldn't be surprised if Kaiir Elam was off the board. Say Baltimore took him and we didn't make that trade. I think Breece Hall would have been the pick at 25. Like if all of our,
I think it would have taken that guy.
If all of our first rounders were off the board, and
you couldn't trade out,
yeah, right. That's when it starts to make sense. Not as your first choice, your first option. That's where it goes out the window. Yeah.
The problem I have with that is that Bean has already come out and said that Breece Hall stuff did not come from inside the building.
I don't believe him.
Why would he say that if this guy is still on the board?
But that doesn't mean that they weren't interested in him.
Because he's still on the board. What's he supposed to say? I love that bitch. Like, what's he supposed to say?
You went
also, he's not
without swearing, Judge.
He's not gonna make it to 57 either. So,
like, what's he gonna say? He loves him. Like that's what,
that is.
You know
the
what?
thing.
I
There is
really
still
was.
Some
I was about to pull the trigger on Breece Hall. I was gonna do it, but Kaiir Elam is my last first round grade.
Just like last year, they were never thinking about going running back in the first round.
No, you win. You get to peacock.
I'm not even bragging about that. That was the common sense thing to say all along.
But do we know they weren't thinking about running back in the first round last year?
Exactly. We do not know that. We do not know. There's no way to know. I'm saying that. That was my opinion last year. That is still my opinion this year. I was not as high on Breece Hall as most people. I believe that he's the best fit for the Buffalo Bills, but I would not take him any higher than the second round.
Dax Hill off the board to the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, that's a really good
good pick.
He's definitely
Jesse
deserved to go in the first round.
Is Breece Hall, for everybody here in the room? Well, no, I know he's not Kendall's. Is Breece Hall's Breece Hall is not my RB1. I want to know if he's anybody else's.
He's not my RB1. He's my RB1 for the Buffalo Bills.
Oh,
that's interesting. That's fair.
Fit for the Buffalo Bills.
I agree with that because I think Kenneth Walker's the best pure runner in the draft.
Running wise, cutting wise, man. You watch his film. Walker to me is the best running back in the NFL or in the draft this year for the NFL. But if you're looking at the Bills system, we're not going to be handing it off to him and letting him make the magic. We need a running back who can, be consistent and then catch balls and make plays. And I think that for the Bills, Breece Hall makes more sense. But I loved Walker a lot more. If I was an NFL GM, Walker would be the guy I want as my running back.
All right. Well, the final pick is in from the Minnesota Vikings. Do we just tip it and head out of here, or do we wait for the Minnesota Vikings?
Your choice. My ESPN stream just pooped itself, so I can't even watch the draft.
I'm emotionally bankrupt right now.
All right. It's to close out.
Get some energy, man. Come on. Let's go, baby. Let's go. The Bills got their guy, a cornerback. Let's go.
That is exciting. The fact that they got the guy they wanted.
Yes. Let's go. A first round pick. You got one of your guys with a first round grade. If they only had 18 guys at 25,
I just feel
they
good
got
that
a steal.
I predicted it right. And
Judge is taking the most silent, or Tilt is taking the most silent victory lap of all time.
I mean,
sorry, my finger's on the trigger. I didn't mean to you can go. The final pick is Lewis Cine, by the way, from the University of Georgia.
Wow.
So a Bills top 30 visit is off the board in Lewis Cine from Georgia. He goes to the Minnesota Vikings. No Malik Willis, no Matt Corral. Those were the two left in the green room for Ari Mirov. So the Minnesota Vikings go Lewis Cine to end the first round. Tampa Bay is holding the golden ticket right now if a team wants a quarterback, right? And the Minnesota picks again in 2 picks. So it should be one quarterback goes in the first round. One. Would you guys have thought that?
I thought it was
more than
2.
one.
Yeah, I thought it was 2.
I thought it'd be 1.
made all those extra quarterback graphics for nothing.
I'm so sorry, Tilt.
It's okay.
We're gonna use them
And I
tomorrow
didn't have Cole Strange.
We'll use them tomorrow.
No, I will. I'm gonna send you guys a link for in Google Drive. I have a bunch of guys that hadn't been picked. You can use them for tomorrow.
Yeah.
How many did you keep doing my big board, or how many of the top 32
I'm not gonna lie to you. My computer was
Never
getting a little fidgety. So
It's cool.
We can
your
take a look at
best
it.
available player is Nakobe Dean. You also have available Andrew Booth at 25.
And
And
McCreary.
you have Malik Willis at 29.
Oh, there you
And
go.
you have Roger McCreary at 32. So only 3 of your
28.
top 32 didn't go. I can't believe you didn't have Cole Strange in your top 32.
Yeah, how dare you?
That is strange.
Very strange.
What they did there.
Wordplay.
There's
But,
gonna be a lot of that on social media.
a great comment here from Pops Mafia to sort of close out the night. Elam Zoom Buffalo Media Now. I'm so grateful. When I went to visit Buffalo, I felt something special. So look at that, already winning over.
I also think with
the
things like
fan
I
base,
like when
man.
Felt
people
like
say
we're
that,
going to
but
the
I-
Super Bowl.
the anti-Stephon Gilmore.
But I also think like, what are they gonna say? Like, nah, I didn't want to come here. This visit sucked. I hated it.
Yeah, they're not gonna say that.
I hated Brandon Bean. I
Listen.
think Trey White's overrated.
Listen, man, it's the
I
tables
said that
turned.
stuff.
When Stephon Gilmore was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, we sucked. He deserved to be angry that he got drafted by the Buffalo Bills. He was going to a cold, miserable, terrible place to play football. I don't care who's drafted by the Buffalo Bills tonight. They're standing up and clapping, and they're genuinely happy because
Different
they're going to the Super Bowl next year, and they're
Jordan
coming
Davis-
in as a rookie.
Jordan
to a
Davis.
very good situation.
Jordan Davis wasn't even going to the Bills, and he decided the day of the draft
Yes,
to just completely alienate the fan base of the team that drafts him. And he's got to go deal with Philly. And they threw what? Like, what's the Santa Claus story with Philly?
Snowball,
They threw
ice
Santa
balls
Claus?
at Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Nathan Q coming in saying Judge Tilton and about to pass out. Kendall and
No, I'm
Romeo
not.
closing out the game. Y'all are the bell cows.
Yeah,
I'm just quiet.
and stealing with his emotions.
I'm playing out a lot of scenarios in my head and going over prospect evaluation.
Let's go. Where's the energy, Joe? I'm excited, man. I'm not even going to
Pumped?
sleep tonight, and I'm on the coverage tomorrow night too. This is, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
just
you got to
pumped.
get some sleep, man.
Pumped.
I'm not looking forward to going to work tomorrow. That's my thing. I'm not
Cornerback.
looking forward to it.
Biggest position in need. Check. Guess what's next tomorrow?
Running back.
Double running
Offensive
back.
line, wide receiver, running
hoping
back
running
in the
back,
8th
wide
round.
receiver.
I tell you
In
what,
the
we need
8th
a running back in the 8th round. How about that?
Talk about tripling down in the 8th round.
I like the Lewis Seen pick from Minnesota. Seen and Harrison Smith is a
I
cool
do.
safety tandem.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
talked about that in our mock draft when they were originally at 12. I was like, hey, it kind of makes sense for them to take Hamilton, aging Harrison Smith, and no one
I
opposite
thought
of
he
him.
would. Yep. I thought Hamilton would go to them or to Washington.
Yep, I thought about that one too. Yep, because they lost Landon Collins.
Yeah.
Elvis coming in with a super chat. We appreciate you, Elvis. He says, awesome show, guys. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
We did have Lewis Seen in that spot, by the way, pick 32.
Ooh.
to the Lions.
Oh,
To the
wow.
We have
Lions.
the slot right.
Look at
Yes.
that. We
You
are
kind of killed it.
yeah.
Oh, you did that was your most recent mock, yeah, this week.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We did
You
a
actually
full
did pretty
first round
well.
mock Monday. We did pretty good.
And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. Arnold Ebiketti is my guess for that, but that's tomorrow. All right. So, gentlemen, any parting thoughts before we head out? I will start with you, Dave.
I like that they went up and got the guy they wanted. It seemed like that, even though it was 2 spots, giving up the 4th round pick based on, the early Zoom call and the early sort of, I guess, reaction from the player directly and sort of taking that all into consideration, plus the fact that the Bills coaching staff is likely to be able to get the best out of Kaiir Elam that we can get. I'm excited with the pick, right? I wanted corner. We talked about in the middle of the draft when we started getting to pick like 12, 13, 14, that the corners were falling and that's where it seemed like the best value and need combination was looking. And that's what happened. And the Bills got their guy. So yeah, I'm happy about it.
And how about you? Any closing thoughts before you head over to start doing some film work?
No, I think traits over production is a theme that's been gaining a lot of traction in the last several years. Not for the Bills, but for like the league as a whole. Went into last year's draft as well, gaining steam. And we talked about it with the first pick with Travon Walker. And I think Kaiir Elam is another guy who fits that mold. And again, everything is always skill set and scheme fit. And I think that rings true towards the back end of the first round. And I think we're going to see a lot of that, to set the table for rounds 2 and 3 and then 4 through 7. I think you're going to start to see a lot of that in this draft. There's a lot of doubles in this draft. There's not a lot of home runs. And when you factor that in with everything, you're going to get a lot more scheme fit picks. You might have people that you're like, well, this team has to go tight end here. And then they take the tight end that was like, whoa, that was like tight end 7 on the board. What's going on? But it's the better scheme fit for this team. I think with how this class is built out as a whole, I think we're going to start to see more of that, which means we saw a crazy round 1, like from a trade perspective. And then with even some of the picks, I think we're in for a lot more of that come round 2 through 7 because of just scheme fit and traits and everything that goes in between with that.
Dr. Romeo, how about you? Any closing thoughts as we head out here?
Absolutely pumped. Absolutely pumped. This has been a phenomenal night with all of you guys, just hanging out and getting to watch the draft and watching all the craziness go down that we were, able to see happen. Nobody could have predicted some of the things that happened, the wild trades, the picks that we couldn't keep up with, and the Bills ultimately filling their biggest position of need, cornerback, the biggest thing that made sense that many of us are saying, we did see this coming over some of the shinier things like running back or wide receiver, if you will. This was the biggest position in need. It's filled. They found their guy, believe in their guy. And so do I. I'm happy with this pick. The other theme that I think normally I'm a guy, and I said this last night, that leading up to the draft, there's so much hype. There's so much other rumors and everything. I try to ignore that, and I stick to my guns with what I was doing before and trust my own analysis. Today, it was a little bit of more of the rumors you heard late were true. From the number 1 overall pick being Walker to a bunch of the other picks happening how they wanted, or how was rumored toward the end here, to the Buffalo Bills pick of Elam, which was gaining steam in these last few days before the draft with the rumors of Booth's potential injury and everything. Elam became the hotter name all of a sudden. So really those rumors came to fruition. And now I'm looking ahead to rounds 2 and 3 and saying to myself, where else do I want the Bills to draft? The Buffalo Bills website and everything, the app did a contest where you pick the 3 picks for the Buffalo Bills in the first 3 rounds by position. Round 1, I picked cornerback. Round 2, I picked offensive line. Round 3, I picked wide receiver. I would love to bat 1,000 on that right now. If you're talking about round 2, Dylan Parham is a name that I like. There's a ton of wide receivers that I said all along I like in 3 and 4. So if we missed in 1, bring me 1 in 3 and 4. Now we don't have a 4th round pick, so use that 3, and I'm happy and I'm all set. You fill the needs, you see what's there, you pick the best player available. It's going to work out well for the Buffalo Bills.
I'll tell you what, my round 1 grades, I've been erasing them as we go along. The guys who I thought would be fits for the Buffalo Bills in round 1, 4 remained. Actually, I take it back because I had Roger McCreary in the 2nd round. 3 remain. 2 of them are cornerbacks, Andrew Booth Jr. and Kyler Gordon, and the others are running back in Breece Hall. And almost all of my 2nd round guys remain, and Breece Hall now moves into that 2nd round range. So it's going to be super interesting. Kendall, parting thoughts before we go, and then I've just put a graphic up that I want to get to in a second. But Kendall, parting thoughts before we head out of here, before I shower Ant with some praises before we head out of here, because his big board was absolutely incredible. I've updated the graphic. You were 29 of 32.
Wow, that's
absolutely
cool.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. But Kendall, what were your final thoughts here?
I'm really excited to hear all the stuff about Elam's character that we found out while we were on air. Obviously, like Ant alluded to, I mean, what is he going to say when he's asked about those kind of things? Of course, he has to speak highly of the team that just drafted him. But there are a lot of other things that speak highly to who he is as a football player, as a human being, and ultimately his character. And I think that's very, very encouraging, considering I was over here pre-draft process, touting him as like CB7. I think I had him right behind Kyler Gordon, and I'm just running off the tape. I don't have the piece of the puzzle that is his character. So hearing that he got that stamp of approval, that endorsement from Brandon Beane and the player personnel department, that's very, very encouraging from my end of things. I love having that piece of the puzzle filled out for me, and now I can contextualize it and wrap that around who he is as a player when I go in and watch more tape on Kaiir Elam. So I'm super excited to know that side of things is shored up. So yeah, very excited with the pick. Like Anthony Romeo said, super excited we got a cornerback despite it not being my number 1 ideal selection at the position. I'm starting to wrap my head around it, and I'm super excited for the future.
Yeah, I'm looking at the board. I think the guys I'm honing in on to start day 2, I think Chad Muma is someone who's probably really high on the Bills board. Quay Walker went in the first round. Devin Lloyd went in the first round. I know Nakobe Dean did not. I know Leo Chenal did not. I think Chad Muma might be the first linebacker off the board on day 2. So hoping, fingers crossed, guys like Nakobe Dean go earlier. So maybe it drops a guy like Muma. I think he's super interesting. Brandon Bean said he wouldn't be afraid to double dip at corner, even as high as the second round, if that was the best player on their board. So I firmly believe a guy like Kyler Gordon and Roger McCreary are still in play. Dylan Parnham is highlighted on my list here. Trey McBride wouldn't surprise me. John Mechie, I think, is maybe the receiver that they would zero in on. Again, it's that guy who, before that ACL, would John Mechie have been a first-round pick? Probably the way wide receivers were coming off the board. So I think John Mechie might be an interesting one to look out for, and obviously Breece Hall as well. Brandon Bean's not going to say he loves Breece Hall. He's not going to say he loves him if he wants to draft.
He's not going to
him.
pick him either. Okay.
Oh, man.
We can
He didn't pick him.
But
He did not pick him.
Before we head out, this is an update of Andy Prohaska's big
Look
board.
at all that yellow.
Oh, man.
29 of 32 first rounders. His top 32 pretty much lined up with the NFL's top 32. The only 4 players, my apologies. So you were not as good as I had originally touted. 28 of 32.
Yeah, you stink, bro.
Nakobe Dean, Andrew Booth Jr., which had the medicals, Malik Willis, and Roger McCreary. The 3 guys I had listed that you did not have in your top 32, Cole Strange, Tyler Smith, Kenny Pickett, and I missed another one. So who did I miss?
I was just going to say Quay Walker. That's not it.
No, not Quay Walker.
Quay's in there, my man.
Who did you not have? Did you not have Treylon? Do you not have Treylon?
No, Treylon's in there.
Yeah, he's right there, 28.
There.
Huh? Who is that 4th guy?
I'm very confused right now.
Smith.
Karloftis? Karloftis? No,
Well, why can't we
Karloftis?
figure this out? This is annoying the hell out of me
Was
right
it the Dallas
No,
Smith?
oh my
Smith,
God.
right?
Linderbaum.
Linderbaum?
No,
now.
Linderbaum's
Linderbaum's
not
like
there.
17.
Is Smith
18.
on there?
Yeah,
Smith?
Tyler. No, Judge already said that Tyler Smith.
Smith?
Elam.
Pickett?
Elam.
Oh.
Elam.
Oh.
I didn't have Elam.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
We're sitting here for an hour. And it's the
Oh
Bills.
my God. Oh,
the
my
You know,
chat
you know
God.
what's super
loves it,
funny?
too.
I was gonna say
chat
go
is gonna
back to the
roast us
chat,
for
and
that.
everybody's like Elam, like trying to get us, and none
We're
of
like,
us
yeah,
were looking at it.
Elam,
We're
yeah,
all
he
just
was
looking at the
great. Yeah.
screen.
Oh my God.
Nobody was looking at the chat. We were all looking at the screen. And some people
You
are
know
coming
it's
in
getting
all
late,
caps,
man.
like yelling at it.
We
I
are
hope
terrible.
the people that stayed truly appreciate that. You know, like those of you that
That's the
stayed this
highlight.
late, you can see the work we put in and how exhausted we are. It's
All of the picks except the Bills.
That's gonna be. I
Oh,
was gonna,
that
that's gonna be
is
the first
funny.
thing. Everybody's gonna be like, "Yo, his board was great. I wonder where Elam is." And then it's gonna be like, "Oh, he didn't have Elam. This board sucks." I am laughing. That was very funny. None of us looked at the chat, and everybody in the chat was literally trying to tell us.
Yes.
All right. So I think that's a perfect place to end it, gentlemen. What
Yeah.
do you think here?
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the comment section, honestly, absolutely incredible. What a night. So much fun. We will be back at it tomorrow. But Ant will have the job of facilitating this whole thing. So I get to sit back and relax tomorrow night. But absolutely incredible. I want to thank Dave for his hard work with the graphics. I want to thank Ant with the big board, Kendall, and with the breakdowns, and Dr. Romeo, bringing the rants, bringing the fire, bringing the energy
Let's
tonight.
go.
Your energy was only matched by one thing, and that was the comment section. We are not
Very
a
fair.
show without the people in the comment section. We broke 800 right around the time of the Bills picks. You guys are absolutely incredible. You guys are exactly why we do what we do. You guys make us better Bills fans. You challenge us every day, and you contribute just as much to this entire production as we do. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we will see you again tomorrow night. And gentlemen, let's go around the horn here with one last Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Oh, this.
Are we having fun yet?